What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the SEC College Football Betting Preview Part 1. I'm Stuckey, and joining me, as always, my fellow BBOC co-host, Collin WIlson. Today's episode, we're going to knock out the three teams that don't really have a chance of making it to the college football playoff.
What are those three teams, Stuck? Tell me.
Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. We'll hit the two teams in our backyard, and then the boys down in Stark, Vegas. And then we'll also hit Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M. In part 2, we'll do Florida, Auburn, Ole Miss, OU, South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. Good mix there. Quick reminder, watch party, Windy City watch party. We'll be at Joe's in Chicago on the 23rd for week 0. Doors opening at 11. Drinks on me. Just get there. You don't have to RSVP. Look forward to seeing some of you guys there. We'll sweat some games for week 0. We also have like a fantasy football event with Kerner and Ray Bob and myself. Duck, Breeze, Colin will all be there. And producer extraordinaire, Matt Mitchell as well. So hold on. I'll read this late. Okay. All right. So let's jump right into it. Let's start with your hogs.
Oh boy.
Win total, you can find over 5 minus 120 out there. I believe if you want to go over, they are 150 to 1 to win the conference, 22 to 1 to make the college football playoff. And there's a lot of uncertainty with this Arkansas team. This is your specialty. So I won't say too much. I kind of lean on you for what's going on with Arkansas. We do know that, the offense lost a lot. Top 4 receivers, best tight end, 3 starting offensive linemen, a running back to the NFL. Offensive line might have 5 new guys starting in new positions. I think they might be kicking the tackles in. I don't know. You tell me. Yeah. They brought in a ton of transfers. They were crushed by the portal again. 5 starters left from the offense. D lost 6 of their top 7 D-backs, 5 of the top 6 defensive linemen. Linebackers look in okay shape. Yep. And then, you do have your quarterback back. It's Petrino year 2. Maybe there's a bump there. Mm-hmm. But then it's one of the 5 hardest schedules in the country. Your SEC road games are LSU, Texas, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. You also play Notre Dame, and you're at Memphis in the non-con, which won't be easy. You better win that game against Arkansas State in Little Rock. Otherwise, Pittman, I don't think is not making it back to Fayetteville. So it's a brutal, brutal schedule. Not many games outside of the first 2 weeks where you're like, okay, feel comfortable. That's a win. Maybe Miss State at home. That's about it. But where is Arkansas mentally by that point in the season? Hogs win total, sitting at implied around 5.5. Is this team going bowling, or is it all going to shit?
So let me talk about my Razorbacks. Let's talk about Arkansas real quick, because I could go through the entire roster and we could talk about how they grade out. It's kind of how we do a lot of team previews, but because I'm so close to this team, and when I say I'm so close to the team, I have eyes and ears in the locker room. And so for the rivals local guy that likes to call me out and make articles and say I don't know what I'm talking about, I do know what I'm talking about. And the coaches aren't going to tell you the truth, but my sources are going to tell me the truth. This team, there's a lot of things I like about them. Taylon Green showed up to camp the other day with 15 extra pounds of muscle. Does that mean that he can run the RPO? I have no clue. His decision-making in the RPO has been a problem. His best play is to roll out and make shit happen. The problem with that is Omega Blake comes over from Charlotte. The transfer wide receiver comes in, 58 targets at Charlotte, 3.3 yards per route run. He is turning heads. I'm going to be so nice about the Arkansas players, and then I'm going to take a dump on my own team. 3.3 yards per route run. Omega Blake is a name you need to know. You're playing fantasy college football, dude's a stud. Taylon saw 177 pressures this year. I think that gets a little bit better. Corey Robinson transfers in, a blindside tackle, 36 games in 3 years at Georgia Tech. I thought, well, they went out and got themselves a blindside tackle because they want to take Carmona and they want to kick him into the guard. Makes complete sense. So, and Carmona likes to kick people when they're on the ground. So Corey Robinson, after I looked it up in PFF, he actually ranks as the 3rd best tackle in all of college football in pass blocking. This is a huge, huge addition for Arkansas and trying to protect Talon. So there are things that I like. I like center Caden Kintler coming in after 11 starts at UCF. He finished 54th in all centers for blocking and per PFF. So there are things about this offense that I like.
170 career starts on the offensive line, and
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot moving around, but there's some potential here for the offensive line to be decent.
When we lost Kudus to Ole Miss, it was kind of like, oh boy, culture, oh boy, Pittman, oh boy, and a lot of that is still around. And the defense, I think when we talk about that, like the defensive line, let me tell you what's going on with Walmart and Tyson Foods. Walmart is in my backyard and Tyson Foods is in my backyard, and they're paying this football team just enough to get their damn paint on the field. They don't give a shit about getting players into this squad because this defensive line will have, you set the over under, I'm going to put it at 9.5 sacks. I'm serious. For the entire season, I think our defensive line gets 9.5 sacks this year. This is a very it's a very bad defensive line when it comes to creating pressure. That being said, Cameron Ball is a guy in the middle that's going to be able to stop the run. Sori's a good enough linebacker. I think they're going to be okay against the run.
The linebacker room's decent.
Yeah, the pass defense is going to be horrific. You know, Steven Dix they're good tacklers. They're going to be okay against the run, but the pass is going to be bad. Secondary is
not getting any pressure.
No, they're not going to get any pressure at all. I think 9.5. You're right. Sacks might be high. Let's talk about off the field because I make this number 4.7. I came out and said I'm going under 5.5. If Talon shows up and he knows how to run the RPO, if Omega Blake is as good as I'm seeing, and Mike Washington at running back for Buffalo, he is also cracking heads in camp right now. It all sounds good on paper. But let me tell you a little story about how Sam Pittman was not going to be the head coach of this team this year. He asked for his buyout to only be half, and he said he would walk away and retire from the program and tell Hunter Yurachek, you can do whatever you want, hire anyone you want. That's when Sam Pittman's agent got involved and said, no, we'll take the full buyout. And then nothing happened. Sam Pittman is still the coach. Everybody knows that buyout decreases maximum at the end of this year, and he doesn't get a bonus if he doesn't get the 5 wins. And this season could be over faster than we know if there aren't wins put up on the board. Pittman was absolutely ready to be retired. He's still ready to be retired. I don't think he's going to be our coach come December 7th. And yesterday, per my source, Travis Williams and Bobby Petrino almost got into a fist fight on the field. These two have had a very good working relationship as offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator for a couple of years now. And apparently the defense was roughing up Talon and roughing up a couple of the offensive players. And Bobby Petrino said, get the fuck off my players and quit tackling. And Travis Williams said, you coach your fucking guys and I'll coach my fucking guys. And Bobby Petrino said, do you want to fucking go right now? Let's take this. Let's go right now. And Travis Williams said, sure, let's go right now. And they were trying to fight each other.
I'm not ended up with another neck brace if that happened.
Bobby Petrino is trying to fight Travis Williams. You're going to lose, right? I give Travis Williams some Mayweather odds, like minus 1,200. Things are crispy right now. Not everybody's happy with their seat. The NIL money's not coming in like it should. It's going to baseball and basketball. Everybody knows that this is a last hurrah swan song. Talon's trying to show something for NFL. Sam Pittman knows that he's retiring at the end of the season no matter what. So I do like Omega Blake. I do like Talon. I do love the addition of Corey Robinson at the blindside tackle. I do think we will be able to defend the run. We will get no pressure and teams will consistently beat us. Will we be tough in the opening slate? I think we'll be tough against Ole Miss. I think Memphis, if we lose to Memphis, the season could be over right there. You might lose the locker room. Notre Dame has the offensive line and the defensive line to crush us. So I think we come out with a lot of fire, and I think you hear a lot of positives about the names that I've mentioned. But long term, this is an under 5.5 play, and this is a coaching staff that is ready to dismantle and not be around each other at all.
Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm higher than Arkansas. I'm higher in Arkansas than you, but I project 5.25.
You're still under,
but like with juice, I'm right on market. So it's a pass for me on Arkansas, but it's under or nothing based on what you're saying, and this could all fall apart quickly. Like there's a lot of downside risk with this Arkansas team, and the schedule is brutal. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll be talking plenty more Hogs throughout the season. Let's move on to the Cats. Kentucky after a very disappointing 4-8 season where just like everything went wrong. They're 300-1 to win the leagues, best you can find out there. 40-1 to make the college football playoff. Over 4.5 even money, I think, is the best out there if you want to go over. So win total sitting at around 4.5. I mean, everything went wrong for this team last year. And now there's so much new. I mean, 63% of the new offensive personnel is brand new players into the team. That includes Zach Calzada, was around pre-COVID.
Let me ask you a question as you're going through this. Are you taking the Zach Calzada TAMU Texas A&M version, or are you taking the incarnate word numbers and applying them to Kentucky's numbers? That's the biggest problem with me with this projection.
I mean, somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And I mean, part of that also has to do with what's around him. I mean, you do lose your top two receivers. Macklin is back. They're going to move him outside. I think he's more comfortable there. You bring in Kendrick Law from Bama, Stellato from Click. The weapons aren't great. The big question is, did they rebuild the offensive line? There's a ton of starts, 170 career starts. You bring in some transfers. I'm not sure how good they are. How about Braun from Arkansas? He's going to be the starting guard. He's good, right?
Yeah, he is good. Yeah, we shouldn't have lost him.
He's the one guy I feel comfortable. They're like kicking Burton back to center. That was a disaster in 2023. He couldn't snap the ball. We'll see how that works out. So maybe the big blue wall is back. It's going to have to be. And they're going to have to try to get this run game going. It's going to be Dowdell and McGowan, the two transfers that are probably going to get the lion's share of carries. But do I have full faith in Calzada in this offense? Not really. It's going to have to be the defense that picks it up. It was a down year for the defense. And Brad White, and they lost a lot. Their defensive line, they lost a ton. They bring in some transfers that I like, particularly David Gusta from Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
But Kentucky has
two MAC linebackers.
Yeah, there's definitely some questions on this defense. You're going to need Rayner, and you're going to need Rayner and Afari to step up. Bryant and Lovett, they have experience, but they're going to need to be much better. I assume it's going to be Hardaway and Waller. And Waller was disappointing in his first year, but they have good length. There's some experience on this D, but I think there's more questions than answers, and they have to be better. This is a Kentucky defense. They shouldn't be 126th in explosive passing allowed. That's like everything that's not the Kentucky defense, which is supposed to take away explosive plays.
Yep.
Very, very not UK-like last year. So I don't have a ton of faith in this team. The problem is, the schedule, there's so much new. So it could go a couple different ways. And Stoops sometimes, when he has no expectations, does his best. I'm sure he'll probably pull off an upset, but it wouldn't shock me if they also lost to Toledo in week 1. The schedule is brutal. One of the 10 hardest in the country. Here are their SEC road games: Auburn, South Carolina, Georgia, Vandy. They're also at Louisville. And then, they host Tennessee, Florida, Texas, and Ole Miss. Where are the breaks? You got Toledo and Eastern Michigan in 2 of the first 3 weeks. What other game? And then Tennessee Tech late at home. So Toledo's not a gimme. But let's say you get to 3-0 there. Where's another game that you're like, okay, I feel good about that one? There's none really. So it's going to be tough. I would imagine they probably pull off an upset. If everything goes well and Calzada plays well, maybe they flirt with a bowl. My numbers say to go, let's see, I project 4.86. So I would lean over here, but vibes are off with the program. The depth is very young at a lot of places. Not a Calzada guy. Could also just go south. And if it's a bad year, just like Arkansas, things could go south very, very quickly. And then you're not even showing up at Vandy late in the year. And that's a game that you would hope that you have a chance at to get this win total. And then you would just get run out at Louisville. So, and then Florida too. Florida at home in a good spot. But if your season's in the tank already, you might get run out of your own building there. And by the way, they're 2-12 in their last 14 SEC home games. That is just unacceptable and doesn't get much easier this year. So numbers lean slightly over. I'm going to try to get some more intel on how this is going, monitor through fall.
Yep.
there's a lot to watch and keep track of, and a lot of change with this team, which is just the vibes seem off to me. So it's as of right now, it's a pass. Do you have any thoughts on Kentucky?
Yeah, actually, I like them more than everybody else, and it's because of these Zach Calzada numbers. And I think, the hardest thing about the transfer portal and taking these numbers and applying them, say Zach Calzada's numbers at Incarnate Word, you have to pull back the curtain and look a little bit deeper into the numbers. And so what I like to do with quarterbacks like Zach Calzada was he just couldn't do anything with pressure whatsoever. Like he didn't have an offensive line that was keeping him clean at Texas A&M. So he goes to Incarnate Word. He faces pressure again. What can he do with it? So if pressure is a measurement, 12.2% turnover worthy play rate with pressure at Incarnate Word in 2023. Did he take a step forward in 2024? Yes, he did. He had 147 dropbacks last season with pressure, and he trimmed 12.2% turnover worthy play with pressure down to 4.5%. That is a massive trim. And it would seem to me that it's not a different team. In the same program, in the same system, he was able to massively shave his mistakes in a pressured pocket over the past season. That makes me a believer in his numbers. 54 to 32 big-time throws of turnover-worthy plays, 2 years at Incarnate Word. The offensive line is a collection of experienced transfers. We like Braun. We talked about who you have there. The running back comes in from Nebraska, sort of a trade for Dane Key. Probably would have had Dane Key. But, they have a wide receiver coming in from Alabama. I project the offense to be a lot better than everybody else because I believe in
They did get Gilmore, too. Gilmore from Nebraska, who was he got kicked off the team, I think, right?
Yeah.
And he's back. He could actually contribute.
I think I'm in the camp with you on the offense that I would like to hear Calzada thriving in camp before we lead up to Toledo. I'd like to see some positivity with what Calzada is able to do in practice. I want to hear clean pack practice reports. I want to hear zip, and I want to hear him doing it with hands in his face. Transfer heavy defense. You mentioned it. Wazoo, South Dakota, the defensive line, 2 MAC linebackers, returning corners are really replacement level. So, you're right on the schedule. Not a lot of breaks here. Can Kentucky get a win at South Carolina? I mean, that was a pretty big upset last year. Stoops is 12-6 against the spread after a bye week. He does really well with time since 2021. So that is a spot where they could have an upset against South Carolina, depending on what your number is. So I do think there's an avenue to get to a bowl. But we need positive play from Calzada with pressure. We need some playmakers to kind of return. And we need some positivity in the turnover direction. I mean, is Kentucky as bad as last year? I'm not sure.
Hard to be worse than last year. But,
right. So I'm a buyer, but I want positivity out of camp, and then I'll make a decision here.
Yeah, I want to buy low. My numbers say I should. I'm at 4.86, but I'm still waiting. So nothing as of now. All right, let's knock Mississippi State out here before we get to the big boys. Mississippi State coming off of a 2-10 season. They're over, best you can find out there, over 3.5 minus 155. So the win total sitting at right about 4. They're not going to the playoff. 500 to 1 to win the conference. This is a team. They're top 30 portal class, top 30 recruiting. So they brought in some guys. But here's the thing. Chapin, you hope that he's back at quarterback. You hope that he stays healthy. They lost their receivers, but they brought in a ton. They brought in 8 transfer wide receivers. I think they have some talent there, and I like some of the guys that they brought in.
Including Fluff.
Yeah, Fluff Bothwell in the backfield as well. And both their other backs do return. My problem, and I like he's probably their best player on defense, Isaac Smith, their nickelback. Mm-hmm. I really like him. But the rest of the secondary, not sold on. And here's the thing. You could convince me that, Mississippi State should be better. It's year 2 for Levy. It's the play caller, and then veer and shoot. They also switched defensive schemes last year. So there's a lot of change. And you got Chapin back, presumably healthy at quarterback. So you would think that they should be better. I just think that they're too far away to make that big of a jump because of the play in the trenches. Now, maybe the offensive line is a little bit better. Maybe the defensive line is a little bit better, but I don't think there's going to be a material difference. And that was really glaring last year in SEC play. I mean, look, they only had 10 sacks last year. They cleared your 9.5 over-under. That's it. They allowed 38. That says it all with this team. So there's some things to be a little bit more optimistic about. I mean, top 30 returning production, top 30 transfer portal class, top 30 recruiting class, shaping back at quarterback, year 2 of these schemes and staff. But then you say, okay, getting excited here a little bit. I kind of, that gets dampened a bit once I start digging into the trenches, some parts of the secondary. And then you look at the schedule. I mean, it's brutal. They have home games against Arizona State, Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Those are their home games. Those 4 teams went to the playoff last year. Oh, yeah, and plus Ole Miss, who easily could have. Those are your home games. Your SEC road games are Florida, Arkansas, Missouri, and Texas A&M. I think you would have much rather had Arkansas at home. So,
are you ruling out what could happen in week 1?
Yeah, they could lose at Southern Miss. That's definitely not a gimme. Alcorn State is a gimme. I think NIU is close to a gimme at home. So, but if they do beat Southern Miss, which isn't a gimme, especially with like all the change, just week 1 uncertainty down in Hattiesburg.
Yeah.
But say they get that win and they get NIU and they get Alcorn State. I mean, maybe they can get Arizona State a run in week 2, but definitely going to be dogs. Where in the SEC play are you like, okay, I feel confident they can get a win there? Now, I think they probably steal one. Where is it? I don't know. I mean, is it Tennessee at home? Because then the rest is at A&M, at Florida, Texas, at Arkansas. Maybe it's at Arkansas if they quit late in the year. Then Georgia, at Missouri, Ole Miss. Crazy things happen in the Egg Bowl, maybe. So it's like I think that they probably get the 4 wins, but my projection is like 4.25. Not enough for me to go over. And I still have a lot of questions about the trenches and some depth in certain places, which could really come into play as the season progresses. Although, with your quarterback back, decent returning production, this is all about how many games they can win in the first 5, I think. Like the first 5 weeks. Can you pull an upset against Arizona State or Tennessee? Can you take care of business against Southern Miss, Alcorn State, and NIU? If you do, you have 4 wins in the first 5 weeks, and you're feeling good about yourself. There's some momentum. And then, by the way, you already cleared the win total. Rest of the season gets tougher, but maybe the vibes are good. If you lose one of those, if you get upset by like Southern Miss and you don't beat Arizona State, you don't beat Tennessee, and you're sitting there at 2 and 3 headed into that rest of that schedule, it's going to be tough to get to 4. Yeah. This is all about the first 5. I show a little bit of value on the over. I think this get hit a little bit early. I think that was a sharp move, but I'm not too confident and not something I want to put my money behind. So this is a pass for me on Mississippi State, but there's some things to get a little bit more excited about this year in year 2 for Levy.
I'm at 4.4, so I agree with you that the projection should be over. I agree with you that they should get to 4 wins. There's a lot of juice on that 3.5. I think that was the right move with this team. Why am I not putting my money on it? Blake Shapen needs a clean pocket. We've known that every stop that he's been at. The 5 transfers that are coming in are bringing 91 starts to the offensive line, but let's specifically call out left tackle Blake Steen. His numbers at Virginia were replacement level, which means mediocre. Replacement level for FBS football. But late in the season, he got the chance to go up against Notre Dame and SMU, and in those 2 games, he allowed 10 pressures. You're facing the best edges in the nation every single week in the SEC. I can't back a team where a blindside tackle is allowing 5 pressures a game. That is one of the sole reasons. Now, you want to get past that, the secondary returns a couple of pieces on defense, but the Bulldogs were dead last in FBS in creating a contested catch. Hutzler's got his work cut out for him with these guys. I mean, I've said this before. Creating a contested catch is as much coaching as it is talent. And you've got all the defensive transfers in the world. The defensive line is from Texas A&M, Miami. I mean, they're just guys not getting playing time. But at the same time, I can't take a blindside tackle that's allowing 10 pressures against his best competition. I can't take the worst secondary in the world, not creating a contested catch. So with Mississippi State, every single SEC game, I project a minimum of maybe a 10-point underdog. I mean, even I've got Arkansas a little bit over a TD against them, which still, I don't know if Arkansas's head's going to be in it. I know we're going to talk about Missouri. I'm not sure where they're going to be at the end of this season, and damn well know in the Egg Bowl anything can happen. And if Lane's not making the playoff, where's the focus of that team? So there are chances for Mississippi State, and I think 4 is the correct number.
All right, let's get to the big boys now. Let's start with Georgia. Georgia win total, if you want to go over, best you can find, over 9.5 minus 170. So the win total with juice is sitting a little over 10. Make the playoff minus 265 to win the conference. Best number out there is plus 375. This is a team, I think they're doing it right the way that they're building. This wasn't the greatest portal class. This Georgia continues to just have talent and get talent. Number 2 recruiting class. They still had a top 25 portal class, but it definitely wasn't a emphasis where they're going in and just trying to build a portal team. Kirby continues to build a program, not just a team, year in and year out. I think they did a better job in the portal this year with some of their additions, particularly at wide receiver, going and getting Noah Thomas, going and getting Zachariah Branch. I know they lost 2 receivers to the NFL, but I think this wide receiver room is better. The offensive line lost 3 to the NFL, but there's 4 here who have experience. There's going to be a battle at right guard. We'll see how that plays out. But this offensive line, it has potential. I'm still, I was just perplexed that they could never run the ball last year. They couldn't get any push. So we'll see. But there's experience here with Bobo, Freeling, Green, and we'll see, Micah Morris, who I actually like. So this offense has potential if the quarterback hits. And that's the big question here. It's Gunnar Stockton. Who is he? What's his ceiling? Just like a lot of these teams, these elite teams at the top. The question
is his ceiling above Carson Beck's floor?
Yeah, that's the question. So we didn't see much last year. We know he can run a little bit more. Or is he going to lose his job to Puglisi or not win the job? We'll see. But that's the biggest question with a lot of these teams. We talked about it with Ohio State, Oregon. We'll talk about it with Alabama. A lot of these teams in the top 10. The question is, whose quarterback is going to be the guy to where they can compete for national championship, and who's going to flop where they can't get to that ceiling? We know Georgia. Last year was a disappointing year. They still won the SEC. They still went to the college football playoff. They still almost made a run to the national title, even though their quarterback got hurt. This team's going to be really good. Look, it's all about their young talent and their development and how good some of these. I think they need to find a star pass rusher. I'd be curious to see what the Army transfer Medozi gives them. But most of they're not really starting any transfers outside of the 2 receivers I just mentioned. You bring in McCray, who helps in the backfield to give you some power from Illinois. But this is all about the quarterback and then just how that talent continues to develop. Obviously, this team lost a ton to the NFL, as they always do. But I think they just need to find an elite pass rush to emerge. That was kind of missing last year. Need a better rushing attack, especially just to help out Stockton or Puglisi. So the one good thing with Georgia, though, is that, because they had 15 players from last year's team are on NFL rosters, but there's 5 stars. There's probably freshmen that emerge here all over the place. You could look at the linebacker room. They lost 2 to the NFL, but look how much talent is still in that room. When you look at this team, though, the one good thing I'll mention, we just mentioned Puglisi, Stockton. There's not much of a drop-off, power ratings-wise. So they have that going for them if there is an injury. Because in the SEC, if I had to separate the SEC teams from quarterback to backup, Diego Pavia to his backup is a disaster. It's like a touchdown. The backup is not any good, but Pavi is like their entire offense.
Like Taylor Green, right?
Yeah. Green is probably like who's their backup right now?
It was going to be Madden Iamaleava. It's a collection of freshmen.
Yeah, probably like 4 points. And then like Marcel Reed is probably up there.
Yeah.
Simmons for Ole Miss, maybe like a field goal. Chapin, because Van Buren left. Chapin is like a field goal plus. Mateer. Nussmeyer, yeah, like 4 or 5 points. Lagway.
Yeah.
5-ish points. Manning, 4 to 5 points. Although we still don't know. Sellers, 5 to 6 points.
Yeah. Yep.
So all those guys are like, you're making a substantial adjustment to the power rating if they get hurt. Whereas Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri, and Auburn. And I think Auburn, it's not, depending on what Arnold looks like.
Well, someone's got to get to those receivers. We'll get there, but yeah, you're right.
There's not much of a drop off.
Interchangeable.
Much of a drop off. So, like, if you just keep that in mind, if there's a quarterback injury, so that you have that going for it, they're not completely relying on, like, if Nussmeyer gets hurt, or Sellers gets hurt, or Pavi gets hurt, or Lagway, those injuries are big. Like, their seasons are over as far as, like, reaching their ceilings. So just keep that in mind. From a scheduling perspective, Georgia plays 6 of the top 10 in the SEC. It's definitely not an easy schedule, but look at their road schedule. They only have 3 true SEC road games. At Tennessee early, which I think is good. Tennessee's, we'll get to them. There's a lot changing. They're at Mississippi State, and they're at Auburn, which is a tough spot, but Auburn's coming off of a bye. This is the week before Ole Miss. We'll see. That's it. That's their only true SEC road games. They do play a neutral against Georgia Tech, and then obviously the neutral against Florida. A lot of the big boys come to Athens. Between the hedges, you got Bama, Ole Miss, Texas, all coming to Athens. And guess what? Georgia hasn't lost at home in 5 years. So look, with questions with Stockton, and there are questions with this roster. This isn't your dominant 2021 older brothers Georgia team. I project 9-7. So I slightly lean under. If I had to guess, though, they probably get the 10-2, but I would not go over 9.5 at -170. There's a lot of chaos in the SEC, whereas, like, I wouldn't be shocked if, like, a Georgia or Alabama or Texas missed the college football playoff. I don't think all of them would, but if, like, the quarterback position doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama has a stacked defense. They bring a ton back. But Texas and Georgia, they're close to the 100th in returning production. There's a lot of new pieces, and if the quarterback doesn't work, like, they could end up with 9 wins.
Yeah.
Maybe if Florida falls out, they end up with 8. Georgia at -265 for the playoff.
Oh,
no thanks.
Oh, no.
But it's a pass for me. I would lean under. If it takes money and gets a little cheaper, I might go under. But I project 9.7, and their implied win total is like 10-1, 10-2. I think it's a little high. What are your thoughts on the Dogs?
Well, I think under 9.5, like what, plus 140 to not make the playoff is what? Like, is it plus 200 somewhere around there? It's like that's what you're betting. You're betting on a 9-win season. I think you're absolutely on the right track, because it's exactly where I am. I'm at 9.4 on the Georgia Bulldogs. Do I believe in the Mike Bobo offense with a running quarterback? I mean, I think you're right. If Gunnar Stockton gets hurt and we have to go to a backup, I don't think it's any kind of drop. There's no power rating move or anything like that. I think it's interesting that they did not go after a quarterback in the portal after Carson Beck's departure. I also think it's interesting that Gunnar Stockton never overtook Carson Beck. So, what have they been holding back this entire time? I would really like to know, because Stockton didn't do well with pressure and what we did see. He's been praised for his ability to detect pressure. We'll see how that plays out this year. The offensive line returns 35 starts, but they're 110th in FBS. There were issues in last year's squad. They were 96th in line yards from this Georgia offense. That's not a good number. And running back Nate Frazier, just 2.8 yards after first contact. That's not expected from a Georgia running back either. Zachariah Branch and Nate Thomas from Texas A&M, they're going to be able to explode. So can the pieces that they have at quarterback make completions to Branch and to the best players that they have on offense? I don't know. I have doubts. Now, Kirby Smart came out last year about the defensive side and said the most crucial player to the 2024 defense was KJ Bolden, that their season would live and die on KJ Bolden. He had one INT and he had one PBU. I know he was a true freshman, but there was some pressure put on him immediately from Kirby Smart from the day that he signed with the recruiting class. The Georgia defense finished 21st in creating contested catches. They should be strong again in that aspect, but the defense finished 67th in creating havoc. That, to me, was very un-Georgia-like. Now there's a drop-off in experience on the defensive line. Hell, they're all playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Both linebackers combined for just 6 starts last year. That makes me a little bit nervous. They do get a little bit of a break in scheduling. I mean, 44th nationally in strength of schedule, that's good. Marshall, Austin Peay, Charlotte, that's one reason why that strength of schedule is so low. Both Texas and Alabama are coming in on bye weeks, so you can look at it as, I have a home game, but also they're going to come in fresh. The tricky spot at Mississippi State, it's in between the cocktail party and Texas. I'm not saying that Georgia could lose to Mississippi State, but it's a spot where you might want to back the Bulldogs.
And Kirby's not great as a huge favorite either. Keep
No.
that in mind. Also, like the games early, like Marshall. I think he's not. I got to look it up. We'll talk about this week 1. I think he hasn't covered like 18 straight.
He didn't cover Tennessee Tech minus 52.5.
No, but I literally think he's like 1-18 or 1-22 or something crazy. Don't quote me on this. Went as like a 35+ point favorite.
They beat Mississippi State.
So completely vanilla and
yeah, they beat Mississippi State by 10 last year. They were favored by 33.5. Right? I mean, you're spot on. You're spot on.
UMass. I hate Marshall. I had UMass. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I hate Marshall. I'm not laying with 45 with Georgia or whatever it is in week 1. Maybe I'll hold my nose and bet Austin Peay. I can't bet Marshall week 1 because I hate them so much. But Kirby doesn't like to run it up here.
I come back to this. I said it last year. I'll say it again, only because I heard load management come out of Kirby one time during an interview. Do they need the Georgia Tech game? And why are you playing with your food and going to 8 overtimes with the Yellow Jackets? I think under 9.5 is the play. I think no playoff is the play. I'm not there. I think, this is not the same coaching staff that was winning national titles. This is not the same defensive line that's winning national titles. This is not the same quarterback.
I like their back 7. The defensive line lost a lot. I mean, you lost 4 to the NFL. It's not going to dominate games the way that it did. So you need the offense to be good. And is Stockton that guy? I have my doubts, but we'll see. He could definitely prove me wrong, and that's what's going to determine whether or not they are national champion good. We know they're going to be good. We know they're going to be one of the 5 to 10 best teams in the country because of all the talent they have in Kirby. And by the way, Kirby, if there's some close games, Kirby does not get enough credit. It's the opposite of Saban. This is one Saban's weak point with special teams. Kirby doesn't get enough credit for his special teams. Georgia might have the number 1 special teams unit in the country. They are excellent, which could steal them a game or 2.
Yep.
With against some of these tough opponents. All right, let's move on to Texas. Similar story to Georgia. Lost a ton at 96th in return. What are they? I think they're like 85th in returning production. Georgia's 96th. They lost a lot. Texas is to win total is right around where Georgia's. I think the best you can find is over 9.5, minus 180. They're minus 310 to make the playoff. And they are best you can find to win the conference plus 300. Look, Texas, the difference between Texas and Georgia is their quarterback is much more hyped up, and that's Arch Manning. He has all the tools. We know he can run. By the way, Sark, one of his biggest issues the past couple of years, red zone scoring, red zone touchdown percentage. You would think over the course of a season, if Arch reaches his potential, he could really help in that department with his legs inside the 20. So we'll see. But he's still unproven. There's still unknowns. There's still a lot of pressure on him. Everyone's just assuming that he's going to win the Heisman Trophy and he's going to be great. You got to pump the brakes. We still don't know. It's a quarterback. So there were some things to like, some things that I think he needed to work on, which he knew. He has all the tools. He has all the support. I think he's eventually going to be really good, but there could be some struggles in year 1. Mm-hmm. And you look at the rest of the roster, I like some of the additions that they got, especially from the West Coast. Like bringing in Andrews is huge at tight end after you lost Helm. Mosley, the addition from Stanford, I think is going to help out. You do lose Golden and Bond at receiver, but Moore and Wingo are back. You got some talented freshmen to fill in some gaps. Keep an eye on Lockett. You got Wisner back. Baxter coming back from injury could help the backfield. My biggest question is the offensive line. I mean, look, they lost. They got 160 starts returning last year. They're down to 45 this year. You lose Banks, Connor, Williams, and Majors. That's a lot of experience. That's a lot of talent. So if you look at their projected starting offensive line, Gooseby at left tackle, he's filled in admirably. I think he'll be fine there. Maybe, probably a future pro. Your left guard, there's a question. Your center started at right guard in 23. Right guard, Campbell, he's solid. And then your right tackle, like it's there. Is it going to be Baker, the former 5-star? There's some questions on this offensive line. We'll see how it comes together. Their offensive line coach, Kyle Flood, is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
And they've kept young guys around. They have a lot of talent. Like while they've had these guys who have been entrenched in their positions, these young guys, are they ready to step up? And is there going to be some growing pains? Because there's a lot of new here. The depth across the board is young. The defense, I do have some concerns. Everyone was right about the defensive line last year. I said it's not going to be a problem. I think it might be a problem this year. You know, you've lost the past couple of years, what you've lost in the interior of that defensive line. You lost your top 5 defensive tackles last year.
2 years in a row been cleaned out.
Yeah, and Sorrell and Collins not gone. And then I look at who they brought in. Like,
you don't Brevard from Purdue? Another Purdue transfer?
Another Purdue guy. Everyone's relying on a Purdue guy. I don't really see it. Defensive end, you lost Broughton to the NFL, but Simmons and Moore are back off the edge. You have Hill back at linebacker. Defensive back, you lost Barron and Makuba to the NFL. But Gilbo's back. Taffy is excellent. I love watching him play as a future pro. Muhammad's back at corner. You just need McDonald and Black to step up in that secondary. But I think they'll be fine in the back 7. I just think the defensive line is going to take a step back. But there's a lot of questions with the rest. There's a lot of new. Obviously, they're talented as hell. There's talent all over. We got to see who emerges. They have the number 1 recruiting class. Sark's doing a great job. Top 25 portal class. There's so many similarities to Georgia. It's like 1-2 recruiting, like around 25 in the portal.
Right.
Quarterback, replacing a lot. Sent a bunch to the NFL. Special teams, new kicker and punter worth mentioning. So, yeah, scheduling, there are only 3 true SEC home games. And then also, you're at Ohio State and at Georgia. Oh, and at Florida. And this win total is like implied 10.2. Well, you're going to be dogs in 2 games.
Right.
And at Florida is not easy. So, yeah, that's a tricky spot, that at Florida. I mean, then you got Oklahoma.
Uh-oh.
That's not an easy game in that rivalry.
You said their name first. I didn't bring them up.
And then like Texas A&M, it's not easy. So with all the questions and all the new, I know they're super talented. Again, just like Georgia, guess where I project them at? 9.73, within 0.03. So I show a little. It's under or nothing. I think that's like a half win too high. But with Sark, the staff, the talent, they probably find a way to get the 10 wins. But I think it's a little too expensive. Here's my what I'll say. I think the win total comes down to the Ohio State game. So I think if they beat Ohio State, then I think, and I could be wrong, they could lose at Florida and at Georgia. But I think they go 11-1. If they lose that Ohio State game, they're going to lose another one. I think the ceiling's 10-2.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means, but it's just what my honest thoughts are. What are your thoughts on hooking?
Well, I mean, for all of you that get pissed off with my nerd stats, Texas will go as far.
Sark's still following you on Twitter?
Yeah, man, we're buddies. Texas will only go as far as finishing drives does on offense. I mean, you're going to run a toss to Quintrivian Weisner and ruin your season. I mean, maybe he doesn't follow me anymore after that. Look, I think there's a couple ways to play Texas. I mean, you really covered a lot of angles here. I think with Arch, we're talking about a guy who he's not really that proven. We've seen him run the RPO, but have we really seen him throw at the level of that we need to see in certain spots? I mean, we've seen flashes of it. I think with Arch, we do have a new dimension of a Texas offense where we're going to see the RPO. We're going to see a little bit different kind of offense. I think when you've got Weisner back there, you got a healthy CJ Baxter. Weisner created 23% forced missed tackle rate. That's pretty good. There's really no holes on this offensive skill positions. I mean, DeAndre Moore had 59 targets out of the slot.
Yeah, there's talented freshmen, really talented freshmen too that could emerge. The skill positions aren't.
And you remember Gooseby taking over a blindside tackle in the playoff when there was some real worries about that, and he had one bad game, and then he turned around.
He's good. He's like good. If he does a good year, he's gonna be like a first round draft.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not really worried about any certain position on the offense. Defense, same thing. I mean, I know we're talking about Purdue. I mean, here's the one thing I'll say:
the interior defensive line's taking a step back. You would agree with that? It's been so dominant.
The Brevard had 16 pressures from the nose position.
I'm not saying bad. I'm just saying there's a
step back from Devondre Sweat and what they had last year. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh God, how are you replicating that? Yeah, absolutely. I still like Trey Moore manning the outside edge position. I loved him when he was at UTSA in 2023.
Yeah, Hill's the stud at linebacker.
See, the whole problem is I bagged on Hill so bad last year because he had like the best run defensive numbers in all of PFF grade. He had like the worst pass defense. Like you got him in 3rd and long and like he was not good coverage. So that does need to improve. Listen, again, strength of schedule is 15th. You're starting off with Ohio State. I want to wipe the win total. I don't think you should play the win total because frankly, I think it comes down to this game against Ohio State. I've already put +3 in the app. There are 2 shops. The 2 biggest shops in Vegas are still covering it. And also a very prominent Jersey, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania book is also still hovering on the 3. I don't think it closes 3. I think that game closes more Ohio State -1. So I do like Texas in the opener. There are a lot less variables on the Texas side on both sides of the ball from a coordinator, from a player position there is with Ohio State. And that's all it is. College football and handicapping is an information game. And I have way more information on what I'm getting with my money on Texas than I do with Ohio State. Not worried about Texas.
We know we have more confidence in what we've seen from Manning than saying
who
wins the job.
100%. And if we're going to talk about how Texas is taking a step down in defensive line, Ohio State's really taking a step down in the interior defensive line. If Archer's going to run RPO with 2 great backs, I'm there for it. So that's the way I'm betting that. Now, look at this conference schedule. I mean, you mentioned it. Listen, they get a bye before they play Florida. Florida's also off a bye. It is a tricky spot. They get a bye, before they play Georgia, before they go to Georgia. Kentucky and Mississippi State, that makes a softer SEC schedule. Vandy and Arkansas coming to Austin, I'm not really worried about that. I mean, Vandy will probably cover. It'll probably be a 1-possession game. I think Texas is making the SEC championship game. The schedule from an SEC perspective is soft. I know Georgia's on it. I get it. But you got Arkansas and Vandy coming to Austin, not really worried about that. And as much as we hyped up Texas A&M, they get their doors blown off them last year? What was the score of that game? Man, Texas A&M wilted down the stretch. 17-7. Felt like a billion. They covered.
They should have won by a lot more. I had A&M.
Right. I see Texas making the championship game. That number is out there at +130 right now. Not sure if I play it in the app as to win the SEC because I'm going to bet somebody else to do that. But I think Texas makes the SEC championship game, no questions asked. I like +130. That's out there offered by DK and many other books.
With the uncertainty with Arch, we still don't know. I'm not.
You're doubting Arch?
Yeah, I gotta see more before I get them +130 to make the SEC.
You know, his cards in the market are so overpriced. Like I'm trying to get as much Arch shit as I can. I can't.
I have a couple others that I'm going to bet that I would rather bet to make the SEC championship game because these Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, who we're going to get through next, they have quarterback uncertainty. We don't know, and there's a lot of roster turnover. Like they're all going to be really good, but I could see them falling a couple times, and they aren't as well known. They're not all 3 of them have a lot more questions than usual. Usually, you have one of them that's like, all right, I know.
The
how dominant they're going to be. Now,
the
I've
red,
Texas
the
Power to
red
the
zone play
number
calling.
one.
The
Go
red
ahead.
zone play calling. I swear to God, if they lose and it's something other than the red zone play calling, then we got something to talk about on the pod. But every year after year after year after year, it's the Sark red zone play calling.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I have Texas 2 points better than everybody else in the SEC going into the season. Quick heads up, by the way, to anybody playing fantasy football this season. The Ultimate 2025 Draft Kit is here, courtesy of our Fantasy Labs team. That means our guys, Sean Kerner and Chris Raybon, who are the best in the business and will be at our Windy City kickoff. They have their rankings, tiers, and cheat sheets ready for you. But first, to get them, you'll need a Fantasy Labs subscription. And right now, new subscribers can use code FLEX20 for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. That's fantasylabs.com/flex. Let Sean and Chris make your fantasy prep easier. Use code FLEX20 for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. Best in the business. I wouldn't trust anybody else with getting fantasy advice. And I'm not biased, although I am, but I'm being honest. All right, let's move on to Alabama. Last year, disappointing year in DeBoer's first season. They didn't get the 10-plus wins. That snapped an FBS record of 16 straight seasons of getting to double-digit wins. If you want to bet their win total, that's what you're betting on this year. Will Alabama start that streak over? Win total over 9.5, minus 112 is the best you can find out there. So implied around 9.5 for what it's worth. I'm right. I'm at like 9.4. So nothing on the win total for me. They're plus 475 to win. The SEC have taken some money during the summer, minus 170 to make the college football playoff. I don't have many questions about it. Was all good news, mainly for Alabama in the offseason, or I should say at the end of last season, because they brought Grubb back. DeBoer reunites with this guy, offensive coordinator, and then about 8 potential draft picks decided to stay.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is going to be loaded across the board. I like some of the. They made a couple, like getting Hill Green. I really like him. He might be the third linebacker, but to go along with Lawson and Jefferson. But I like that pickup. But this is a team just like Georgia and Texas. This is how the elite teams we're building this year. Top 3 recruiting, 21st portal class. They didn't go crazy in the portal. They bring, unlike Georgia and Texas, this team is top 25-ish in returning production. So they bring a lot back. The wide receiver room is loaded. Tight end, there are some more questions this year after they lost a pair. The offensive line, I mean, they're like, they lost Pritchett. Who cares? He was horrendous. I don't know why Nebraska paid him. That's how bad the portal class was at certain positions this year. You got Proctor back, Brailsford back, Roberts. They're all good. You add Dewberry from Texas A&M. I'm not a huge fan, but he can fill in admirably. And then you got who Formby's going to take over at right tackle. Right tackle and left guard, still a little bit of a question, but the offensive line will be fine. The defensive line, loaded.
Yep.
Linebacker, loaded, even though they lost Campbell. Defensive backfield, loaded.
Mm-hmm.
They lost Moore. Gets Sabb back from injury. I'm not a huge, Brown, their corner, started as a freshman. I'm not a huge Damani Jackson guy. I think he's a little overrated, but even adding Calhoun, Collins, the defensive line addition, I like some of the little additions that they made. But this defense is loaded. I don't really have many questions about the defense. This all comes down to the quarterback. We know Alabama's going to be really good. Who's going to be the quarterback, number one? I'm not a Simpson guy. I don't think they go in a national title system. I could be wrong. I mean, you could come in and I'm not a quarterback expert by any stretch, but I think that Russell's the most talented, and I think many would agree. Is he ready? It's weird. Mack is the only one who's thrown a touchdown. He has experience in the systems. He came from Washington. Russell has the most experience here at Alabama. I mean, Simpson has the most experience here at Alabama.
Right.
And Russell has the most talent. Who's going to win the job? And not only who's going to win it, who's going to keep it? Is it going to be lost eventually? You start at Florida State, then you're at home against ULM, home against Wisconsin. Then you got to bye before Georgia. What happens before that game and then after is definitely worth watching. I will also mention there could be some disappointing teams they're playing in the second half of the schedule. Tennessee, they might have a down year. We'll see where LSU is at very late. Like if they lose a couple games with the Brian Kelly stuff. Oklahoma with Venables. And then at Auburn late in the year. Although it's the Iron Bowl, they'll always be up for that. But something worth noting. So tied 9.5. People seem to love this team. They get much more experience than they were last year. It's DeBoer's second year. I was kind of disappointed in him in certain spots last year, like the bowl game, Vandy. But all the guy's done is won. You give him the benefit of the doubt for his first year. And I like the addition of Grubb. It all comes down to the quarterback. What are your thoughts on the Tide?
I haven't said this out loud anywhere, any format to anybody, and I haven't written it. So let's get it out of the way because I bet it and it's going to go into the app. I think Alabama's winning the national title. Of all the teams in the top 10, this is the team I'm putting my money on to win the national title. I have an 11-1. Kane Womack is a defensive coordinator. The numbers are insane what they put up last year, and I think this defense is better. And I love Kane Womack. But let's start with the offensive side of the ball because I think Ryan Grubb coming in to run DeBoer's offense is like, put the hits back on, right? Nick Sheridan's going to solely focus on the quarterback position, which is something that they need because we've got Austin Mack here. Can you be the holdover? Can Ty Simpson provide anything from a leadership perspective as somebody that's been in this program, or do I need Mack to run my system? Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, absolutely good luck to everybody else trying to defend whatever kind of pre-snap motion, the shit that they do after the snap. Good luck. Big question is Keelan Russell. And I've watched enough tape and I've read enough and I've done my due diligence to know that I think there's a plan for this kid. And I don't know if it's him coming in September 27th against Georgia or if they just hold this kid out till Ty Simpson and Austin Mack take their licks. Maybe they hold him to the playoff. I don't know. I would assume there's a plan. There's a package. It's being worked on, and we're not going to see it until they have to use it. And
by the way, I'm waiting. I'm going to bet Alabama to win the national title if they lose a game, and with Simpson as the quarterback, which would.
What is that? 2017 Ohio State on me again, or is that 2016 when you and I were
2014 Vatek?
Cardell Jones, yeah.
After Ohio State lost to Vatek, I got him 50-1.
God, it was perfect. Perfect bet.
Won't be do that now with the expanded playoffs, and it's Alabama. But
I don't think they're going on.
If they lose, then I'm thinking like, hey, they're probably going to make a quarterback change. I can get them discounted. That's something I'm going to be looking for during the season.
Yeah, AI can write that article for me. The second Alabama takes a loss, we're doubling up on national title futures on the Crimson Tide. I love this team because of the Keelan Russell aspect, where we've seen players take teams over and get them over the hump in national title runs. I think that could be Keelan Russell from everything that I've seen. There is a plan, and I think he's going to be held back as long as possible. Now, the defense is insane. I'm staring at the numbers from last year. 4th in defensive finishing drives, 7th in quality drives. Nobody could get into scoring position. Even if they couldn't even get points up on the board. Limited EPA, top 20 in rushing and passing success rate, 2nd in the nation in tackling. This is Kane Womack's first chance to get his hands on these guys, and they finished 2nd in tackling. I'm impressed. I knew that Kane Womack was one of the best DCs when he got called up to the big show in the P4. It was really impressive numbers that they put up. Top 3 units at all levels in the SEC. Secondary, the corners. Plenty of players opting to play one more year. Deontay Lawson, the middle linebacker, is a huge retaining piece. Havoc, they finished 41st. Maybe we could be a little bit better there. Then again, maybe we're just not calling as much blitz and just letting them come to us. I don't know. But this defense cooks, and they're going to continue to cook. 4 SEC teams will have a bye week. Let's talk about some of the pitfalls. 4 SEC teams will have a bye week playing Alabama. Georgia, at Missouri, LSU, and Oklahoma. LSU and Oklahoma, that's consecutive games against teams that are coming off a bye. So we'll see what the health level is, what the depth level is for Alabama. Should be fine. I project just one SEC game within a touchdown, and that's against Georgia. I make Bama a 7.5-point favorite against LSU. I think the floor is 10 wins. The ceiling could be 12. They'll drop a game. But the fact that they have what I consider to be the best defense in this conference, multiple options at quarterback, a remarriage of coordinator with Kalen DeBoer. This team's a national title contender, and I like their numbers better. I would when we did the Big Ten podcast, and if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. I took Penn State with a caveat, like I'm going to worry about this in the semifinals. This is not a number I'm worrying about ever. I'm not hedging this. I think Alabama can win the national title out of all the elite teams in the nation.
I'm not with you, but I might get there if they start Simpson and then lose a game. Lose to Florida State week 1.
That would be great. Give me a 20-1.
All right, let's move on to the aforementioned LSU Tigers. LSU.
Wait, is this your team? Where are we now on August? What is the August 7th? Is this your team?
I will explain. LSU, the best you can find out, over 8.5 minus 140. The over is taking some money. Make the playoff. Best number out there, plus 130, plus 750 to win the conference. Schedule's very hard. One of the 10 hardest in the country. They only face 4 new quarterbacks. Their road games: Clemson, Ole Miss, Bama, OU. Ain't easy. I project around 8.5. Mm-hmm. That's what my number said.
I got 8.
I can't go over 8.5 minus 140. But I'm still buying the upside of this team because, look, we go through the SEC, Texas. We don't know about Arch. Georgia, we don't know about Stockton. Alabama, we just talked about their quarterback situation.
Right.
Florida, Lagway, is he healthy? All of his injuries? Auburn, is Arnold going to be who is Arnold? It's Ole Miss, new quarterback, Simmons. South Carolina, I think, takes a big step back on their defense. Tennessee, they have Joey Aguilar. Who are the quarterbacks that you really can rely on? It's Nussmeier. And I love their weapons. I love the backfield. Look out for Barry. The offensive line is the big question, but I will spin it. This is why there's some upside here. And I don't want to go win total. I just think, and then if they lose a couple games, this could all spiral. And the offensive line could be a disaster. They lost 4 to the NFL. Left tackle, right guard, or left guard. They do bring in some transfers. It looks like Braylon Moore's going to start at the center, which is good because there was a time it was looking like they could start 5 freshmen or sophomores. They're going to need their young guys to step up. Adams and Davis, they're freshmen at tackle. Thompson might win the other guard spot from Northwestern. I like him, but there's a guard battle. So we'll see how the offensive line comes together. But the thing is, last year, they had no run game. They could not get it going. Even though they had 4 NFL offensive linemen, no run game to speak of. And then it was just Nussmeier, who's not mobile, dropping back. What would he average? 40 passes per game?
Yeah.
So if this offensive line can come together and there's cohesion there and they actually can get a run game going, it'll help Nussmeier tremendously and it'll give this offense balance. It had none last year. I'm a huge Nussmeier fan. So there is some upside. Now, it could all fall apart. There's some variance with this, but there's some upside with them actually having a run game. There's no questions about the weapons that they have on the outside. And there's no question about the talent level of their quarterback and the experience they have in a conference where that is very rare in 2025. Defensively, I mean, look, LSU had the number 1 portal class in the country. It wasn't the greatest portal class overall, but as far as like the portal in totality, but when you have the number 1 class, I like some of the guys they brought in. And maybe you don't, but in the defensive backfield, like losing Ryan, I don't care at safety. You got Stamps, Gilbert back, meh. But you might be able to push him out with Delane. Halsey, I really love.
Yeah.
I really, really love Halsey. Look out for Pickett, the freshman cornerback. I think he can contribute. So I also like Cooley, who they brought in from NC State. And then look, you have Perkins. If they can figure out how to use him right, he could be like one of the best defenders in college football. Some more variance there. They do lose all 4 starters on the defensive line, 3 to the NFL. Bring in some guys who I think can help with their run defense. Get Gilroy back from injury as well. I think this defense, year 2 of Baker, I like Baker. I think there's potential here with this defense as well. Schedule's hard, but if they get a run game and they can win at Clemson right off the bat. So I'm still trying to figure out when the timing of it. Like, do I bet? So I'm not betting the win total. I'm probably going to bet them to win the SEC or make the SEC championship game. And then I might wait to see if they lose to Clemson to bet making the playoff. Still haven't decided. But there's some questions on this team. There's no doubt the talent. And they have Nussmeier, the quarterback I feel best about in this entire conference, with a roster that no doubt is top 10, 15. Now, the schedule's tough, but those are my thoughts on LSU. I'm buying the upside and Nussmeier.
So for LSU, I'll be quick because my number is 8.8. That makes over 8.5 minus 140 not a purchase item on my list. Let me start on the defensive side. Like, is Harold Perkins going to return to outside linebacker? Because are we that committed to Whit Weeks? Whit Weeks is really a boomer bust middle linebacker. And what I mean by that, sure, 82 tackles, led the team. He also had a 12.9% missed tackle rate, one of the highest on the team, period. Like, his 16 missed tackles cost him against USC. It cost them a game. But he also had 56 stops. I mean, that's like a one-on, dead-on tackle. Like, didn't need any help whatsoever. Whit Weeks is a boomer bust linebacker. But if you're committed to him at middle linebacker, you're throwing Harold Perkins back out to the outside, which is where he thrived in the first place. What is his weight going to be? What is his lateral movement going to be? God, I mean, the defense is really depends on where that's going to happen, right? So we have to have the old version of Harold Perkins coming back, not the slow middle linebacker version. So 2 new faces at corner through the portal, Virginia Tech, and a fresh. I know that you like the secondary more than I do. I do like the Houston transfer, Halsey. 8 PBUs, 5 NTs with Houston. I mean, you got to think that entire conference is throwing the entire time with the Big 12. And what was the honorable mention? Was he first team? First team Big 12. Yeah.
Should have been first team.
Yeah. So I just, it goes back to Blake Baker. And the coaching for me is just not there. I mean, your tackling grade is 51st. Your coverage numbers are 81st, and you're 88th in creating contested catches. Are we going to blame the portal class that comes into the secondary all the time? Or are we going to finally put some blame on Blake Baker? Because these were the same numbers at Missouri, right? I'm going to create a good pass rush and give you a little bit of havoc up front. But my contested catch rate and my tackling on the back end are poor. And they always have been with Blake Baker. By the way, before I start on the offense with Nuss, have you seen the Netflix series on the SEC football?
No, I'm going on a trip soon for a couple days before.
And you load it up?
So I'm going to watch that on the plane.
I used to think that Brian Kelly was going to win a national title. And he is in the very first episode across from Shane Beamer, who we're about to get to. Brian Kelly is like unrelatable to these players. Like, he's just like a bitchy grandpa. Like, and Beamer's over there like a member of the family at your dinner table.
It's terrible. But big trust in us. Go Tigers. We'll be, to all my LSU people, I've always been a fan. My LSU followers are so excited I'm finally on board this year. I was looking at I looked at this wrong. I project like 8.6. You're higher than me.
I'm 8.8. Yeah, I'm 8.8.
So there's questions on this team for sure, but I think that there's upside, and I have the quarterback that I know that I can count on. And there's a chance that a lot of these other teams fall. The Texas, Georgia, Alabamas, Florida.
You know what? Tell me Blake Baker's a good defensive coordinator.
Well,
this is like year 4 we've been bitching about Blake Baker. Like, come on.
I'm a Blake Baker fan. We can argue about this another day.
All right.
LSU upside for me.
Okay.
Close to market on the win total now. I mean, it's taken some money. All right. Let's finish up part 1 with Texas A&M. Texas A&M coming off another year where they were close, but just couldn't break through. It's a story of Texas A&M for the past couple of decades. win total, best out there. You can get over 7.5 minus 170 or over 8 minus 120. So their win total's sitting at around like 8.12, somewhere around that ballpark. Plus 235 to make the playoff, 15-1 to win the SEC. This team, I mean, look, top 10 recruiting, top 10 portal, top 10 returning production. They got everything that you like. Returning quarterback. Now, Marcel Reed has to be better in his downfield passing, reading defenses. And look, just to be quite frank, Texas A&M benefited from him as a surprise option last year, right? You had Connor Wegman, and then you saw him in the LSU game. He came in, LSU wasn't ready for him. And then you saw him in certain spots when they were switching back and forth. Well, now he's the guy. There's no surprise element now. I will say, I think that this team has an extremely high floor. Like, I am very confident they're going to get, for what it's worth, I project them at 8.5 wins. So I show value in the over. I'm going to be betting on them, their upside, just with these other teams falling. Because, look, while I have questions about Reed, and I think he's a bit limited as a passer, this run game is going to be electric. With Moss back, Moss who led FBS in yards after contact before he went down with an injury. But everyone's back in the backfield, and you got Reed's running ability. And then their offensive line is going to be elite. And you got 7 of your top 8 back, 160 starts returning. Like, this run game is going to be elite. Now, your wide receiver, you lose your top 4, led by Thomas, who went to Georgia. But you bring in Concepcion, Craver, Wilson. That's going to be the question. Can the baby Bs, some of their freshmen, step up? That's something that I'll be watching, because the pass game is really the question I have with this team. In order to like really reach the ceiling, you're going to need to throw it. When you can't just have teams loading the box when you play the best of the best. But they're going to be able to just rely on their defense and this run game to beat the teams that they should. The defense was very disappointing last year, but Elko is taking that on. Year 2, I trust him to get that fixed. And there's a lot to fix. The pass rush, their zone coverage, which he has harped on, limiting explosives, their run D at times. I think you're going to get more 12 personnel on offense, by the way. And I think you're going to get more single eye looks on defense. And I think Elko is going to fix a lot of that. You look at the defense, they did lose 3 to the NFL, but their impact wasn't great. Like, I mean, I thought Turner was very overrated. You had some guys in the portal who I like, and you have some young, talented guys who I think are going to step up. And I think their defensive line is going to be just fine, to be honest, even though they lost 3 to the NFL. Getting Chappell back, I think, is huge from injury. You got Williams and York back at linebacker. In the defensive backfield, you got to get Ricks out of there, and I think they will. I mean, Ricks was just terrible. Lee's back. He's going to shadow. He's your CB1. You got Chappell back healthy at your nickel. And then, you add Humphrey from Georgia. I think that the secondary is going to be upgraded, and I think Elko's impact is going to be huge in year 2. Special teams are elite. Just can they get help from the passing attack? I mean, this is one of the most experienced teams in the country. I trust their run game. I trust Elko to fix the defense. I like some of their additions that they had. By the way, one thing with Alabama that I would be worried about that we didn't mention, their special teams. Definitely worth monitoring, because they lost Burnip, their punter, to the NFL. And kickers, they've had Reichard and then Nicholson the past 2 years. So keep an eye on the Alabama special teams. Something worth monitoring. But Texas A&M special teams should be elite. So I'm going to buy the upside here with Texas A&M. You look at their schedule. You start UTSA, Utah State. You're at Notre Dame. That won't be easy. Host Auburn, host Mississippi State, host Florida, at Arkansas. I mean, they can stack some wins here early on in this season. At Missouri,
first time at Arkansas. We're done with Arlington.
Yeah, it's weird it's not in Arlington. At Missouri, I think Missouri's down. South Carolina, I'm skeptical of this year. Then Samford and at Texas. So, like, at Texas, at LSU, at Notre Dame are going to be tough.
Yeah.
But if some of these other teams fall, they can steal one at Texas. And then if I'm betting on them, I lean over on their win total, but I'm taking the Notre Dame out of it. And I'm going to bet on them probably to get to the SEC championship or to win the SEC or to get to the college football.
Wow.
I will be betting on some Texas A&M upside. I'm trusting in Elko, and I'm trusting in this run game and offensive line. Passing game is the big question, but the two teams that I'm going to buy some of the upside if some of these top teams aren't as good or their quarterback situations don't work out. My two teams are Texas A&M and LSU.
Wow.
I take it you disagree.
I don't hate Texas A&M. I mean, I Casey Concepcion is just a pleasure to watch this kid catch a ball and run. I mean, he's an animal, right? I mean, that portal get from NC State, that was one of the best possession receivers over the middle that maybe people don't know about if you don't watch any ACC football. Running back Le'Veon Moss, if he's healthy once again, 4.4 yards after first contact. I mean, that you could see how deflated the Texas A&M offense was once he got hurt last year. He's got to stay healthy. Could be the best offensive line in the nation, led by blindside tackle Trey Zune. I don't have any complaints about this offense whatsoever, other than they have to stay healthy. They have to stay healthy because last year they just popped a tire and it went sideways. What's going on with this defense? They finished 109th in tackling. That's very un-Elko-like, but he's taking over play calling duties, crumbling with fundamentals, just all over the place in some of the numbers with defense. They
right after the bowl game, you can talk about it. We don't know how to play zone. We don't, and I think they upgraded the secondary. Like, there's a couple guys they had to get out of there that I think are going to be out of there. Ricks in particular. So I'm trusting. I'm buying the Elko bump. Still have questions about the secondary, but that's what I'm buying the upside in.
Elko, are you okay?
Fixed.
You think DJ? You think DJ?
That's complimentary. If Elko gets this run, if Elko gets the D fixed, then you're able to rely on the run game more, right? And then you don't have to worry. You don't have to have as good of a passing attack because your defense is struggling, and then you don't have the passing attack. You're not going to be able to beat these big boys. So I'm betting on that. Like, I know the run game's good, and I'm betting on the Elko bump, which is why I want to bet on the upside, rather than their win total.
And you think DJ Hicks, Albert Regis, that they can replace Turner?
Yeah, I mean, I like some of their young talent, Hal, and here's the thing: like, I know that they're really talented, but they weren't as impactful as like their first round grades were. Like, what did Stewart have? 1 sack, 1.5 sacks, maybe? Yeah. I don't even know. I might be making that up. Can you look how many? Like, they weren't that impactful. The defense wasn't that great. Like
1.5, 4 TFLs.
Like it, and I think Turner was overrated. So like it, yes, it looks like, hey, they lost 3 of their defensive linemen in the NFL, but
Skirton was not overrated.
No, he was very good. I'm not saying they were bad, but I don't think it's this Herculean task to replace them. So I think they're gonna be fine on the defensive line. It's just about Elko fixing the back end and the secondary and their fundamentals and the tackling and if they're in the right position. I think it's going to change some things up schematically. So I think that there's some upside there. It could all go to shit, but if it works out, then if the defense is working out, then you can just rely on that run game, which we know is going to be good. But if the defense doesn't work out and then you have to throw more, then it's all going to go to shit. So I'm trusting in Elko here.
So here's the deal. I gave them a bump of 3 points in the offseason in PR. They are our power rating 16th overall rated team.
I bumped them 3 as well.
My win total is just below 8. And it's got to be schedule because I like all these positive factors. I don't disagree with anything that you've said. But is it the schedule, right? What is the ceiling here? Because I don't put them in range of beating Notre Dame or Texas or LSU. We're on back-to-back travel. Right? I mean, it's not going up to Arlington now. It's going up to Fayetteville, and then you're going to Baton Rouge.
Look at you. I'm getting on LSU now.
So
I'm at 8.5.
9 wins? Or, I mean...
I'm at 8.5 is what I project them at.
Right. There is an under 8.5 out there in DK minus 150. I don't see a large probability of this team getting to 9 wins at all. 7.5, different story. Right. I think the proper number here is 8. I think that's where they land. I wish I'm behind you with this ticket because I love all their pieces and I love Casey Concepcion. And I think you're right. I think they were a little bit overrated. The guys they lost on the defensive line. I think you're absolutely right. I think Elko taking over the defense shores up this tackling issue they had, shores up these other issues that they had. Marcel Reed's got to throw the ball better. 117th and on target. They got to get better.
I think they could beat Notre Dame. I think they're in range, especially
really.
Yeah, with that's where probably our difference is. Like I only think Notre
I
Dame.
got Notre Dame -7.
Yeah, I have that at 3.
I don't want to disagree with you. I like Texas A&M. I
could bump Notre Dame if I'm not hearing great things about the quarterback.
Really?
And they have just about Carr as of right now.
Isn't Charles Jagusah already injured again?
Yeah, and then you have their tackle injury, which is going to be early on in the year for that A&M game.
Right.
So, is there a game of the year line? I mean, I'm sure I'm lower than what the market's going to be on that, but that's where I am. I'm higher in the market than A&M and lower on Notre Dame. So,
it's Notre Dame -7.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
follow A&M and a couple points lower on Notre Dame, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm also accounting for maybe the quarterback's going to struggle a bit early, and then they have their injury to their best offensive lineman. So we'll see. We have.
Wait a minute, you're the LSU guy. What do you make that? I make it LSU -9.
5.5.
Yeah, that's what the number is at DK. I'm not going to get. I like Texas A&M better than I like LSU.
Actually, no, that's a lie. I made it 5. 5.1. Yeah, I'm buying the upside. It's probably an 8 or 9 win team, but there could be some chaos. And I'm trusting in Elko because I can trust in this running game, this offensive line.
If Marcel Reed makes the year 1 to year 2 bump that most college quarterbacks have, especially with pressure, I think Concepcion is such a perfect.
He doesn't have to take that big of a leap. Like he just needs to make the play action throws because like if Elko fixes the defense, that's all what this is predicated on.
Okay.
All right, that'll do it for part 1. Thanks. Hold on, let me do a quick overview. Florida Gators. You look at this Florida team, and there's a lot to be excited about because of DJ Lagway, but there's also a lot to be a little hesitant about because of the injury concerns. And then what you have, I think Jackson is dealing with injury. Dallas Wilson was injured today.
Yep.
You're getting Wilson back from injury. You need him. He's dealing with an injury. So there's a lot of injury concerns. How healthy is Lagway going to be? How healthy is he now? Dealing with multiple injuries. Like, it's definitely a concern and gives me pause for betting Florida and what is a very tough schedule. You start off with LIU and USF, but you're at LSU, at Miami, you host Texas, at A&M. That is a brutal 4-game stretch if you have injuries early on in the season. Then you're Georgia to neutral, at Ole Miss. So there's some tough games. And they only have 6 home games, 3 in the SEC. They only face 2 of the bottom 7. One of them is at Kentucky in a pretty tough spot. We'll see how good or bad Kentucky is, though. When you look at what Florida did this year from a roster perspective, 115th rated portal class.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go into the portal. This wasn't Billy Napier being desperate. They was confident in this roster. They basically their portal is just like getting Sturdivant, the receiver from UCLA. A lot coming back. The offensive line is going to be really good. You only lose your right tackle. Everyone else is back. Your center, Slaughter, is a stud. Moving George from right tackle to right guard was just paid so many dividends. He went from allowing 29 pressures to just 5.
Yep.
And then your new right tackle, Lovett. He has some experience, but that's the position to watch. Wide receiver, if you lost your 2 top targets, but Wilson's back from injury, and Dallas Wilson, the other Wilson, he looks like he's going to be a stud. You had Sturdivant. I think they'll be fine. And you have a really solid backfield as well. It just comes down to Lagway's health and the health of these receivers, and I think the offensive line will be good. Defensively, there's a lot to be excited about as well. With Howard back from injury at linebacker, there were so many injuries in the secondary last year. So many. So you lost a bunch to the NFL, but like guys that were only starting 2 or 7 or 8 games. So you got a lot of guys that got in the mix last year who are going to be back. So this defense, which really improved down the stretch despite all those injuries, has a lot to be excited about. It's a pretty good football team, but they could face 7 top 20 teams, 5 away from home. As I said, the schedule is tough, but I think all the talk has to be around the health of Lagway and the health of some of these pieces. Florida's win total, best you can find out there, over 7.5 plus 104 if you want to go over, plus 350 to make the playoff, 20-1 to win the conference. You know what I might throw a little bit of something on with Florida? I mean, I project them 7.8, so I show some value in the over. But with all these injury concerns, not something I want to get involved with. I might bet Lagway, now his price has drifted out a little bit now. Lagway to win the Heisman, 28-1. If he gets this team, I think if they get to 9 wins, there's a chance with this schedule that they make the college football playoff. If Florida makes the college football playoff, and they're only plus 350 to do it, that means Lagway was healthy and he had a hell of a year.
Right.
So I think there's some value in Lagway to win the Heisman. Obviously, there's injury uncertainty there, but if this Florida team reaches its full ceiling, Lagway is going to be in New York.
Agreed. But we need health because the SEC injury report that came out every Wednesday was just loaded. Just loaded with Florida Gators on it all the time. And
it's not starting off well this year.
And it's not starting off well. And I don't remember Billy Napier having this problem at Louisiana with practices knocking guys out. So I'm not sure if this is a Rob Sale, Austin Armstrong problem or Russ Callaway, Ron Roberts. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. So listen, DJ Lagway and Jaden Baugh and Jacoby Jackson, just an absolute beast of a trio to try to get through. The 2 running backs had 14 combined rushing TDs, one of the best offensive lines in the SEC. You mentioned Damian George getting kicked into guard. It's like Bama could never figure out what to do with him. Just consistently bad grades. Then he gets to Florida, he gets kicked into guard, and it just takes off. Freshman wide receiver Dallas Wilson is one of the biggest blue chip additions to any team, any stable of targets out there. Dallas Wilson's the guy you need to know about. Lagway, what I like about him, you see 12-9 TD to INTs. As a freshman, he had 18-7 big-time throw to turnover-worthy play ratio. This offense can absolutely cook. They can hang. They can upset anybody on this schedule. Anybody. And it's a tough schedule. The defense went havoc crazy the first 4 games against LSU, Ole Miss, FSU. They closed 35th in havoc, 14th in finishing drives. Those are great numbers. But you got to keep an eye out for the status of Jamari Lyons and knows he's returning from an injury. That's a piece that they're just going to need against a soft LSU line there early in the game on September 13th. Defensive tackle Caleb Banks could be the best in the SEC. He lists at 6'6", 329. He's going to be able to hit some offensive linemen upside the head and knock them over. To me, it's the schedule. I have a real problem with the schedule. You have a bye week hosting Texas. They're also off a bye. Cocktail Party actually counts as one of their home games. Just 3 home SEC games. Miami spot is pretty terrible after LSU. I mean, back-to-back road travel. Back-to-back road travel again against Ole Miss. I mean, the schedule is already hard enough. The injury concerns scare me. I can't find 8 wins on this team. I can't find 8 wins on this schedule. Now, I think they have the ability to upset anybody, but can they consistently do it? I was really impressed with what Billy Napier did. Like, I took the ban off of not being able to say his name of years. I mean, dating back to him running tempo against Ohio and screwing me out of an over. That's what started all that years ago at Louisiana. But, he made us enough money last year that I'm a Billy Napier fan. I think the issue is the injuries are stacking up. I can't find 8 wins on the schedule. So I think under 135 would be the play, but I'm not going against them because I agree with you. The ceiling is there for them to make the SEC championship game. The ceiling is there for them to beat Georgia in the cocktail party. The ceiling is there for them to beat Texas when they come to the swamp. I'm not going to fade him.
Ceiling, I'm telling you, Lagway's going to win the Heisman.
I'm not going to fade him.
That's the way I'm playing this. Lagway Heisman for me. All right, let's move on to Ole Miss. Just such a disappointing year for them. I mean, they did get the back-to-back 10 wins for the first time since 1960, but this should have been a college football playoff team.
With the money they spent?
And the defense that they had. and Dart, the first round quarterback. Then you had 2 wide receivers you lost to the NFL. Like, the problem where the one, like, it was just Lane Kiffin, like he's going to blow a game like that you don't expect him to. And that was the Kentucky game, inexplicable loss at home. Here's the thing. That defense was so good last year, so dominant. You want to talk about that defensive line, which lost 4 to the NFL? I love Walter Nolan, by the way. They allowed 2.3 yards per carry, and they had 52 sacks. They also lost Paul, their linebacker to the NFL. They lost 3 defensive backs to the NFL. This is Ole Miss, so you know that they're heavy in the portal. 4th ranked portal class. I don't know if they got the guys to replace who they lost. LSU, Nebraska transfers who are meh. I kind of like Braxton from Arkansas if he's healthy. But
man, I just did the math. So they've lost over 50 PBUs from last year's team.
Yeah, and this wasn't the year to just go in a portal and find all those replacements. The linebacker room still should be okay, but I think nickel takes a big step back too. You might be starting Washington State guy there. I don't really like who they're replacing with. And then the offensive line, which was their downfall last year, you lose a bunch of guys who all were bad. Their offensive line was bad last year. And they couldn't get the run game going. We'll see if they can get the run game going this year with maybe Diggs at running back. Yeah. They had no help from the running game last year. But they go from 222 starts to 78. The big loss is Pettis, the right tackle. He goes to Florida State. You got left tackle Pounds back. He's terrible, man. You got Saunders taking over at center, Williams at right tackle. Like, you had your guy Kudus from Arkansas, Vic Davis from Maryland. He was awful at Maryland. Townsend at UAB could start. Wilkins from Charlotte could start. Like, they got Percy Lewis from Auburn. Like, that, I don't know why they got. That experiment was a complete failure at Auburn. So I don't like the offensive line. Your guy Haas at tight end got hurt.
Yep.
Your boy Stribling's there at wide receiver, but I think the weapons might take a step back. And then you have Dart's gone, and you have Austin Simmons. He looked good in limited action, but there's a big question mark there as well. So I don't see it with Ole Miss this year. I just don't. The defense, I think, is going to take a big step back, and I don't think that the offensive line is necessarily fixed. So I don't think the run game is going to be there. Win total, best you can find on over 8.5 minus 105. They're about 2-1 to make the college football playoff. You could find 20-1 to win the conference. I project like 8.1, so I would lean under. They do have 8 home games. The schedule broke right for them. They have 8 home games. 2 of their 4 road games are against the bottom 2 in the SEC. Kentucky and right, they play good to Kentucky. Yeah, they go with Kentucky early and at Miss State late, and they also get Arkansas at home.
Yeah.
So their toughest games. They got a stretch of at Georgia, then at Oklahoma, then home against South Carolina. You have Florida late in the year. Who knows? Maybe Florida will be a dead duck by then, but they get them at home. So the schedule broke right for them. But I don't see it with this team. I don't think this is a playoff team. I don't think this is a 9-win team. This would be under at 8.5 or nothing for me. What say you?
There's a stint on the schedule that's just like physically, it's just physical brutality.
And you know that Lane's probably going to drop a game that you don't expect him to.
At Georgia, at Oklahoma, hosting South Carolina. That is a brutal 3-game stretch in 14 days.
Like, Lane will lose at Kentucky week 2 somehow.
Yeah, well. So, yeah, I do like Deshaun Sterling. He's coming in. He's going to try to help Austin Simmons out. True sophomore. He has 32 passing attempts last season. The NIL money came in on the wide receivers with Harrison Wallace coming in from Penn State. And Deshaun Stribbling, like I said, from Oklahoma State. Deshaun Stribbling, 2.4 yards per route run was all my talk last year for Oklahoma State. Didn't turn out. And Diego Pounds returns at left tackle. Kudus had some bad games at Arkansas. I mean, he cost Arkansas, I think, 2 or 3 games from a blocking perspective. Lots of question marks for me remaining on the offensive line. The running back stable, not stable. Let's put it that way. The best defensive line money could buy, depleted from last year. That Ole Miss money, I mean, they still got Suntrain Perkins. Yeah. 10.5 sacks, 3.5 TFLs for Suntrain Perkins. The remainder of the defense is portal heavy, inexperienced transfers. They have super seniors like Sage Ryan, from LSU, but 5 of the first 6 games at home. Do what?
who I'm not a fan of.
No. 5 of the first 6 games are at home. 8 home games total. You're right. Schedule did break. The SEC road is easier than most with Kentucky and Mississippi State. Terrible spot hosting. So I don't have a play on the win total. I've got a game of the year. And you're probably going to be like, this guy shit on my team and now he's betting on him. I'm going to tell you right now, that is a terrible spot to be hosting Tulane in between Arkansas and LSU, right? But to me, that's not the play. What is Ole Miss going to be when they come in and they play LSU the following week, right? Because LSU has to play Sela, Southeast Louisiana, the week before. Ole Miss has got to deal with Tulane. I think LSU and that passing offense and the weapons that they have with Nuss getting into this secondary for Ole Miss, you can get that line out there right now, LSU minus 113. That's going into the app right after this podcast. That game of the year, LSU, they are going to be fresh off a game against Southeast Louisiana, and Ole Miss's secondary is horrible.
I make it 2.9.
I'm taking LSU pick'em in a game of the year. I think it's a horrible spot for Ole Miss. That's my angle on the Rebs.
And the LSU ceiling raises even again.
See here, I knew you were going to jump in. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to. Let's talk some Vols. Talk some Tennessee. Tennessee win total.
Weird. That's weird, right? It's a defensive team now.
Yeah, it's the win total. If you want to go under 8.5 minus 135 at Caesars. So win total implied is like close to 8.25. Make the playoff plus 300, 34-1, the best odds out there to win the SEC. Another team similar to Florida, they didn't go after the portal here. They're building this team with development, and this is a rebuilding year in my opinion. This is a transition year for Tennessee. Nico is gone. Not a fan of Nico, but
I don't think they got a drop in quarterback play.
Yeah, I don't think Joey Aguilar might throw a lot more picks though. I mean, they don't throw any picks over the last 5 years. It's insane if you look at the lack of how few interceptions Tennessee has thrown compared to what Aguilar has done. They have some freshmen in the mix with Meglinger, McIntyre. They could end up winning the job. They could end up taking over at some point. But you look at the rest of this team. Their offense last year was Sampson, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. He's gone. They have young backs now. Wide receivers, they just didn't live up to the billing. Part of that maybe was quarterback play. They're going super young this year. You got Brazel back as well. Frizzell from the Tulane kid. Tight end, they should be okay. But the offensive line, you lose a lot. You lose 4 starters. They were pretty disappointing. Who did they bring in? I mean, Hurd's back. He was awful at left tackle. You got a freshman playing right tackle, a freshman center. You brought in Notre Dame and Arizona transfers for guards who meh on both. So, not in love with this offense, to say the least. Defensively, you lose 3 on the defensive line to the NFL from a really good defensive line. They're going to be relying on depth. Guys like West and Eason and Moy and Hobbs. Team just didn't hit the portal hard. I think they knew kind of this is going to be their year to win the national title. You got your linebackers back. And then in the defensive backfield, I mean, it's been nothing but bad news. Your star corner, McCoy, when is he going to be healthy? Everything I'm hearing, it doesn't sound good. I don't think he's going to be ready for the start of the year. When's he going to be back? He lost the safety to the NFL. And then you had 3 safeties hit the portal after the year. Then you had another safety you were going to rely on is out for the year with an injury. You added Hood from Colorado. That's not moving the needle. So I have questions about the secondary now, especially with McCoy, his status in question. He's their lockdown corner. He does so much for them. This offensive line, there's no seniors. The transfers they brought in, a Grand Valley State linebacker, 2 mediocre guards, a depth corner, Joey Aguilar, a Duke running back. That's about it. They're building this the right way, but they lost a lot from last year, and I think they're going to take a step back. So for me, I project them 7.85. So under 8.5, minus 135 I'm in for. The question is, can this team get the 9 wins? Here's the thing. The schedule is easy, around 50th in difficulty. So here's like if you look, they do get the bottom 4 in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So they have Vandy and Arkansas at home, at Miss State, at Kentucky. They also get Cuse, ETSU, UAB, and New Mexico State. On paper, you say there's 8 wins right there. I'm going to say with this team, with all the turnover and questions, they drop one of them. I don't know where it is, if it's at Miss State, at UK, or if it's Vandy late in the year. But I'm going to say they go 7-1 in those 8 games.
Yep.
Then your other 4 are Georgia, at Alabama, Oklahoma, at Florida. Can they win 2 of those games? I think there's a good chance they could lose all 4. But if they go 7-1, will happily pay to make them do that. I think this is a 7-5, 8-4 team max. So I like the under in Tennessee.
This is tough because I don't want to like them. I didn't think I was going to like them, and then my mathematics took me up to 8.9.
Wow.
And listen, I'm trying to talk myself out of it, right? But
the whole win higher than me.
I know, and when I go back and I'm sitting here, I've been reviewing it because it's from a returning production perspective. Like I like Joey Aguilar's numbers better. The defense for me, there's a lot. I listen, Joey Aguilar matched every big time throw with a turnover worthy play, 26-25 at App State.
At App State, it's the SEC.
Hey, the guy can throw a deep ball, and he's got some scoot.
Can throw a deep ball to the other team.
Okay, but he's got some scoot, and Nico didn't, right?
Also worried about his offensive line. There's no Sampson. McCoy, the secondary is a major concern for me, especially McCoy's hurt. He's their star. He's their number 1 corner far and away.
This is the most unproven set of wide receivers in a number of years for the Heupel stretch spread, but without a doubt. It's going to be a committee, to try to replace Dylan Sampson with Peyton Lewis is the only one coming in with high recruiting rankings. Offensive line doesn't have a single senior on the depth chart, less than 50 combined starts.
I haven't really turnover in production. This is crazy. I can't believe you're back in Tennessee and I'm backing LSU.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Aguilar's turnover worthy play rate skyrocketed to 7% with pressure in the pocket, but defense is the calling card for Tennessee now. That's why I said this team is weird.
But I have questions about their defense. I think their defense will be good, but I mean, you lost. I mean, what they lost last year is no joke. They lost Pierce, Thomas, Norman Lott to the NFL on the defensive line. They're just relying on depth to step up. And then in the secondary, you lose a safety to the NFL. McCoy is hurt. And then you lose a bunch of safeties, either for injury or the portal.
I mean, Joshua Joseph's 9 TFLs coming back. Arian Carter bringing his number.
They have talent, and their linebackers will be decent, but this defense has taken a step back from last year. And there's
you think so?
Yeah, and especially if McCoy's not ready. It's
okay. So this also the schedule. I mean, you've already mentioned it. There's 8 home games.
The schedule's good for them, but I drew it out how I think. I think they probably go 0-4 against Georgia, Oklahoma, at Alabama, at Florida. Actually, I'll say they probably get one of them.
Okay.
They probably upset Georgia or Oklahoma at home. But I think that they lose one that they shouldn't. And they end up 8-4 max.
We've established that I don't think they're beating Alabama. And we haven't got to the Sooners yet. I don't think they're beating Oklahoma either.
I agree.
I
don't think they're beating Georgia at home either.
I project them as a minimum 2 TD fave in 5 of their first 6 games. Field goal.
Yeah, they have a ton of easy wins. I'm not doubting that.
Okay, so the coin flip games that are going to make or break this win total: Oklahoma, Florida, and I think both those teams are better than Tennessee. So even though my projection is over what the win total is, I'm not going to play it. Because I do like those other I like their coin flip teams, the other side, better than I like Tennessee. But, I mean, they're getting a lot of credit in the numbers for what they're returning on defense. And Joey Aguilar's numbers better than Nico in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big drop of a quarterback. You might get more turnovers. But,
I don't think it's a drop at all.
But you're losing Sampson. The offensive line, still not buying. Wide receivers, still not buying. And I think the offense is still going to be a struggle, and I think the defense takes a step back. So I'm out on Tennessee. I'm selling. Let's move on to.
I'm telling you
what?
They are quietly going to ravage this shitty schedule.
Yeah, to get the 8 wins, to go 8-4. All right, let's go to another team I'm selling. South Carolina.
Ooh,
I'm out. Again, let's look. Win total. You can go under 7.5 minus 155 or under 7 plus 125. So the win total is like 7.3.
Yeah.
I project them 6.8.
Oh yeah. You want to hear mine?
Yeah.
6.1.
Wow.
Yeah. You go ahead. You start the hate. I'll jump in with you.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm at my exact number is 6.76.
This is the podcast bet. I'm telling you right now. I'm there.
Yeah, I'm going under in South Carolina. I mean, look, this first of all, the schedule last year, they had a great year. They had a weird year, but the schedule last year broke right for them. And granted, they should have beat LSU. They got unlucky in that game with some bad calls. And they could have easily beat Alabama. But look at their wins. ODU by 4. A historically bad Kentucky team that was incompetent. Akron, Oklahoma, who was completely banged up off that Texas game. Yeah. Texas A&M off that LSU win.
Yep.
Vandy with Pavia banged up. Missouri, they took the lead with 15 seconds left. Clemson, they lost. They got blown out by Ole Miss. I'm sorry, Clemson. And then Wofford then they beat Wofford. Like everything really broke right. When I look at this team, look, Sellers, he still needs to work on his footwork. He's electric to watch. Maybe he can take a leap. But let's look at the rest of the roster. The weapons, am I fully sold on? No. There's a couple of receivers to the NFL. You lose your running back to the NFL. You lose your tight end, who's huge. Simon was massive. You lose him to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Your offensive line, who cares about Bell? You lost 2 to the NFL. Your 2 best. Your tackles are back, but they were horrible. Horrible. Who did you add? Like, you're bringing in, what, a Troy transfer and a Wake transfer?
The powerhouse Wake offensive line.
I mean, Sharp was decent at Wake, but he's not moving the needle. So I think the offensive line is still a major question. But where I think they take the biggest step back is on defense. I mean, this defense, I think, is going to take a gigantic step back. You lose your top 3 defensive tackles, all to the NFL. You lose Kennard, the Nagurski Award winner, to the NFL. You got Stewart back, but he's not going to benefit from all that attention on Kennard now. And then you're relying on the rest as depth. Linebacker, you lose 2 to the NFL, and 1 got an invite to camp. 212 tackles gone from the linebacker room. You had Murphy from Florida State, who didn't really play there. Okoronkwo from Bama, he didn't really play there. Meh. Big step back. D-line way down. Linebacker way down. Defensive back, you lose Emin Warade at safety to the NFL. It was a stud. Fortune, the corner, stud. He goes to the NFL. You got Smith and Kilgore back and Collier, but big step back. You had Cisse. It's still okay, secondary, but taking a step back. This team, and then, by the way, special teams, they lost the entire battery.
Yep. You
lost an elite punter, also to the NFL, who was one of the best holders. You should go read about how good he was at holding. You lost an elite first-team All-SEC long snapper, a good kicker. They're all gone. Special teams could be really bad. They have 14 players from last year's team on NFL rosters. 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 offensive linemen, 3 defensive tackles, the defensive end, 2 linebackers, a cornerback, a safety, and a punter. That's like Georgia numbers. This is South Carolina. I mean, I'd get their top 20 in the portal and recruiting this year, but this isn't a team stacked with talent like a Georgia, like a Texas. That defense is going to take a major, major step back. Their SEC road games, yikes. Ole Miss, LSU, A&M, and Missouri. Home, and then guess what? At home, you get Alabama, Clemson, and Oklahoma. And I don't know if you saw on the app today, they start off the year at home on a neutral against Vatek. I bet Vatek today. I think Vatek could get them.
Gonna come in and spoil the Beamer family like that?
Yep, I think Vatek could get them week 1. I love the Vatek coordinator hires. I think they're going to have some tricks up their sleeve. So if you look at their schedule, like They have 2 gimmies against South Carolina State and Coastal. They have, and then 6 really hard games against top 20-ish teams at LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M, Clemson. Maybe they get 2. They go 2-4. I think. I wouldn't be surprised if they go worse. But let's go 2-4. They have 2 gimmies. That's 4-4. And then, you got Vandy, Vatek on a neutral, UK at Missouri. Are they going 4-0 in those games? I don't see it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go 1-5 in those. I think defense takes a big step back, and I have questions all over this roster. I get the love for Sellers; he's electric to watch, but I'm out on the Cox this year. Under for me.
Would it be poetic if Virginia Tech beat South Carolina with a punt block? I'm with you. I have problems. Let's talk about the problems I have. Things that are different than the problems you have. Lenora Sellers benefit from having Rocket Sanders transfer in from Arkansas. Rocket Sanders, by the time he left Arkansas, was 245 pounds of pure steel muscle. He's gone for this RPO game. What do we have now? 2 running backs from North Texas and Utah State. Neither are over 6 foot tall. Neither list over 220 pounds. Lenora Sellers is the biggest running back on this team. Both tackles started at least 12 games last season, so I think there's going to be a similar push with zone read and outside zone read attempts, but Sellers had more turnover-worthy plays and big-time throws in the passing game. His turnover-worthy play rate, and this is what frustrated me so much with South Carolina last year, Lenora Sellers' throwing numbers were pretty horrible in a crowded pocket. 8.7% turnover-worthy play rate. Go over to the defense. They lost their top 5 tacklers. The schedule is, I think 4th strength of schedule. I mean, it's one of the hardest in the nation. Both bye weeks come before SEC road travel to LSU and Texas A&M. 3 teams visit Columbia on back-to-back travel, Vandy, OU, and Coastal. It's an interesting schedule each week. Kentucky is the only team that's off a bye to face South Carolina. That's the good news, but the depth is just going to be put to test with the 4 consecutive brawls against LSU, OU, Bama, and Ole Miss. I mean, that's a boxing match every week. I think they could be faves in their first 5, and I think they could be underdogs in their next 5. I make this 6.1. This is an easy under 7.5 for me. I also put money down. There's a matchup at DK. Florida or South Carolina. $500. There you go, Florida. So I'm anti-South Carolina. I make it 6.1.
Are you gonna be with me on Vatek week 1?
I am now. What number is it right now? I make it 8.5. What is it?
I bet 8.5 minus 105 this
morning.
Oh,
is that where it's at right now? Because that's what I make it.
Yeah. I unless it moved. Let's see. I didn't really.
Oh, it fell to 7.5 a couple books. It is 8.5 out there. Yes, I'll be joining you probably as we're cutting this pod. Yes.
Yeah, it came down a bit. There's still 8.5s out there,
and the total's getting jacked up.
I don't. Well, I think the South Carolina defense takes a big step back.
Well, that'd be a part of the total going up.
Yeah, I don't have a strong feel, and I got to dig into what I think Vatek's going to do offensively in that game. I think Vatek's defense is going to have some tricks up its sleeve. I'm pretty high on what they can do early on with their new coordinator.
These running backs are tiny for South Carolina.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. Sorry, South Carolina fans are going to be very passionate fan base. One of my favorite stadiums to go to. Love South Carolina fans, but they might not be our biggest fans this year. But we've won over LSU fans now. We're always going to have certain fans in the SEC. That's why we love the SEC. Just means more we're SEC guys. But there's always going to be a couple fan bases that don't love us in certain years. But
hey, listen,
we'll always come around. There's going to be years where we like South Carolina.
My 2 coordinators are trying to fist fight each other in practice. All right, so I've got my own worries here at Fayetteville.
Mark Stoops is out at my wife's bar drinking, and the football program is falling apart here. So South Carolina is in much better shape. Than
was it Patino's bar? The same bar as Patino?
Yeah. No comment there. All right, let's go to Auburn. Auburn, a lot of chatter about this program and Hugh Freeze and his golf game in the offseason. Auburn, by the way, they've had 4 straight losing seasons. Isn't that hard to believe? Like just saying it out loud. And they haven't had 5 since 1950. And if they do this year, I could tell you that Hugh Freeze is going to have a lot of time to golf.
They haven't had a season with a positive against the spread cover since 2019.
Right? They haven't had a winning season the last 4 years, right? The losing season for last 4?
No.
5-7, 6-7, 5-7, 6-7. If they lose this year, first time they had 5 straight since 1950. Just unacceptable for Auburn. There is a lot to like here, though. For what it's worth, Auburn, if you want to go over 8, minus 110 is out there. 25-1 to win the SEC. Plus 375 to make the college football playoff. Here's what's to like about Auburn. Top 25 returning production. Top 10 portal class. Top 10 recruiting class. So, like, the production's there. The talent is incoming.
They saved their money for this portal class.
Yep. Top 30 in returning production, both offense and defense. The offensive line, I think, for the first time in a long time, is going to be good. It's a strength. You added Chaplin from Vatech, Murphy. You added a pair of tackles. They weren't like elite, but that enables you to move Wade inside, which is good. Lou is great at center. Like Lewis was a disaster at left tackle last year. They have 140 career starts. All 5 end-of-year starters are back. I think the offensive line could finally be a strength. Your wide receivers are as good as it gets. Coleman and Simmons are back. Even though you lost Lambert Smith to the NFL, Singleton, I love Singleton. He's going to do so much damage in this offense. And whatever you think of Jackson Arnold, he's a good fit for this offense. Now, is he going to live up to his potential? We'll see. But on paper, he is a good fit. Defensively, they're going to need some depth guys to step up at certain positions. Falk is a stud at defensive end. I like the defensive end room. The defensive tackle room is one of my biggest concerns. But I like a lot of the pieces they brought in. I think their secondary is going to be solid. They got some young corners that were thrown into the fire last year. I love Crawford. That really, I think, really impressed. And I think they're going to take a step this season. The special teams was a disaster last year. We'll see if McPherson is healthy. Like, keep getting mixed signals on, like, is he going to be healthy? Is he not? Because he's dealing with health issues. They had the worst field goal percentage in FBS. It was an absolute disaster. They do lose a good punter. But I think that they addressed their tackle issue in the portal. They bolstered their wide receiver room. I really like what Auburn did in this offseason. Now, last year they were hard. They were hard in the red zone, turnovers, late game. I mentioned the special teams. So, can they fix those things? That's on Freeze. That's on coaching.
Yep.
And part of it's the quarterback. It's like Thorne's not around. He was partly to blame in some of it. But everything's here for this team to be successful. Schedule stuff. Start at Baylor, and then you got 2 gimmies, and then you're at OU. That's their season. I'm telling you, those 2 games. If they drop both of those games, could all go downhill. And I project right at 8, by the way.
The second Hugh Freeze throws Jackson Arnold under the bus this season.
It also means that Jackson Arnold, who probably doesn't have a lot of confidence after last year, is shaken. Yeah. Right? But if they come out and they win at Baylor, and then he goes to Norman and beats Oklahoma, sky's the limit for this team.
Yeah.
Those 2 games, and Auburn's taken a little bit of money recently against Baylor. That line's been going back and forth. Those 2 games are massive for Auburn's season. They get off to that hot start, so you can't start 2-2. But if they start 3-1, they still can be okay. 4-0, because after that start, by the way, you're at Texas A&M and you're hosting Georgia. So, like, that start is just so big. Now, there's some breaks in the back half of the schedule. Missouri at home, at Arkansas, Kentucky at home, at Vandy, by Mercer, and the Iron Bowl at home. It's all about the start for this team. All the ingredients are there. Can they put it together? What are your thoughts on Auburn?
we haven't seen Hugh Freeze put it together while he's
but by the way, if they're at Vandy, Hugh Freeze has to lose to Pavia
right.
every year. So that's an automatic loss, which does scare me.
Right. What is that? Is that number? I was just checking out the number. Yeah, Auburn taking in some money here against Baylor. Look, you can't bet the win total because Jerry Kill is still a consultant at Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia is still playing quarterback. So you can't take the over
That's a loss.
win total. I mean, it's a loss.
So they're stealing right off the bat is 11.
And for those of you new to this game, New Mexico State with Pavia and Jerry Kill beat Hugh Freeze too at Liberty. All right. So, I mean, like, this ain't a friggin' Auburn Vanderbilt thing. This goes back to New Mexico State and Liberty. I mean, this shit's real. I mean, there's some voodoo. There's some doll that's been poked in the head and it's got Hugh Freeze on it. So, look, there's nothing you've covered it all with the offense. The wide receiver room, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Horatio Fields. I mean, Eric Singleton was 2.2 yards per route run for Georgia Tech. I don't think you mentioned Darrell Robinson, transfers in from UConn.
It's lost Hunter running back, which is big, but they got Alston Cobb back and then add Robinson. I think the running back room's still fine. The offense is
Robinson's good. Yeah, I mean, he's not Jarquez Hunter, but yeah. I mean, the offensive line might be the best in SEC, 140 starts, the dominating starts, upperclassmen. Jackson Arnold should finally have a clean pocket.
And receivers.
He had a 27% pressure to sack ratio, 132 pressures at OU last year. And, you know, that was a really tough, it was a very tough scenario at OU that was going on last year for Jackson Arnold. The defense, the linebackers are a little light on experience for DJ Durkin. Secondary should create contested catches here with some of the names they have coming in. Corner K and Lee brings back 7 PBUs. 29 PBUs at Miami of Ohio the last 2 years for Rayon Strader. Poor Miami of Ohio. Whew, it's a new world for them. Baylor's biggest soft spot, and the reason why I like the play here for me is Auburn. I whiffed on getting them. Did I get them? I think I had one ticket out there, but I don't think I put it in the app. I wanted Auburn plus 1.5. That's gone. As we're podcasting, -2, -2.5. There is a rogue book out there posting a -1.5. Money line if you need it. Baylor's biggest soft spot. We haven't got to the Big 12 pod. Could be the secondary. That gives Jackson Arnold a huge advantage in game one, especially with these wide receivers. I'm going to take Auburn on the money line against Baylor. I'm going to take them now. I didn't know there was such a pump out there. The bye week before Georgia at home, horrible back-to-back travel spot after OU and Texas A&M. But I completely agree with you. Jackson Arnold's complete mental health mind state could be pending on Norman. It's just not even play the whole season, especially with Vanderbilt down the road. Give me Auburn, week 1, beating Baylor.
Might be Ashton Daniels time. All right, let's move on to Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner. Shout out to all my friends and folks in Norman. Oklahoma.
Did Danny Stutzman win the Heisman?
An absolute no Heisman. It was a disastrous year for Oklahoma, mainly because their offense. Everything went wrong. Injuries, execution. I mean, all their offensive linemen hurt. All their top 5 receivers. It was a disaster. Nothing working on offense. The defense was solid, but it would break at times, and who could blame them? They were getting zero help. Win total under 7.5, -140. If you wanted to go under is the best out there. Plus around 5-1 to make the college football playoff, 25-1 to win the conference. This is a team that's top 10, top 20 in returning production. But the schedule's a bear. It's one of the 10 toughest in the country. They play 7 of the top 10 in the SEC. There's no Vandy. There's no UK. There's no Miss State. There's no Arkansas. That's tough. And then, by the way, you also get Michigan in the non-con. There are only 3 SEC road games. You get Texas in a neutral, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Bama. They could face up to 8 ranked teams. Kind of really limits their ceiling how difficult this schedule is. The big news is, with all the problems in the offense last year, they revamped it. Some will say that Venables is on the hot seat. Well, he went out. You got Arbuckle and Mateer to come in from Washington State with their air raid. Added Jaden Ott to a running back room that already brings back a bunch of experience.
Underrated.
And then the wide receiver room, who cares? They were all hurt last year, but you do bring Burks back, and you add Satania from Arkansas, Gibson. You have some interesting pieces if they can finally stay healthy. Tight end's a question for me. The offensive line, like, We'll see. I'm still not sold on this offensive line. I don't know. It can't be much worse than last year.
Right.
That's still going to be a question for me. Defensively, you do lose a lot. You lost a couple guys on the defensive line to the NFL, but this defensive line is still elite. Elite. Linebacker, you lose Stutzman, but you got Lewis and McKenzie back, Dolby back from injury for your nickel spot, your cheetah. Still fine there. Defensive backs, I think you have enough back to still be very good, but there's injury concerns. Like Gentry Williams, is he going to be healthy? Is Dolby, who I mentioned, is he going to be healthy? Because you got the Bowens back, Spears Jennings is solid. So there's some cornerback health questions that I'm monitoring. And wide receiver as well, you need them to stay healthy. There's still some their depth is better, but just there's still some positions I'm worried about with their depth with this really tough schedule. They have a 5-star Fasusi. Can he win a spot at the offensive tackle? If he does, that could raise their ceiling. But the schedule is just so tough. I'm not an all-in on Mateer guy. I could be proven wrong. Some people love him. I need to see it for a full schedule against SEC competition and the Michigan defense in week 2. Based on what I saw, I'm not all the way there yet. If he reaches the ceiling, this could be a top 10 team. And he's that good against this competition. But this is a big leap going from that schedule last year to this. So I project them 7.39. I'm like very close to market. So it's a pass for me. I can't get there on the upside just because I'm not fully sold on Mateer and with this schedule. So I'm close to market. This team definitely has more going for it this year. But if they lose to Michigan, they lose that Auburn game, just like Auburn, it's a combustible situation. And then this could go south quick. And then it's like you have your new AD and who's going to be the new head coach. And then this could go sideways very quickly for, in the second half of the schedule, you got at SC, Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Bama, Missouri, LSU, after Texas, by the way. So, again, just like Auburn, that first 4, that Auburn-Oklahoma game, I cannot wait for that game. That game is so big for both team seasons and their trajectory and the quarterbacks, and that's just a popcorn-worthy game. Pass for me on Oklahoma. I'm intrigued. All about the start for them. Can definitely see myself backing them in a few spots, though. What are you seeing with the Sooners?
I absolutely love Oklahoma, and I love John Mateer, and I think John Mateer could win the Heisman. Listen,
you're crazy.
Missed tackles. I'm not kidding. Listen, John Mateer running for Wazoo. Forced.
Also, can he stay healthy in a full SEC schedule?
If you can't touch him, can't hurt him. He forced 54 missed tackles on 149 rushing attempts.
The guy can run, no doubt. Can he throw consistently against this guy?
That is over a 35% missed tackle force rate. You know what level that is? That's Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty was 40%. I'm just pointing it out. 15 TDs, only 3 fumbles. This isn't like Cam Ward where we get 15 rushing TDs and 16 fumbles. He was safe with the ball. Ben Arbuckle's offense up at Wazoo, throw in another 29 touchdowns. More big-time throws than turnover-worthy plays. I absolutely love this offense. I love this hire. Venables was told, you're not touching the offense anymore. Get your Air Raid, get your Latrells, get all your buddies from Texas, get them out. I think Mateer absolutely has the chance to win the Heisman if OU could win 9 games. That is, I'm more questioning about that. Now, Cal running back Jaden Ott, I think, is a perfect complimentary back. 3,400 all-purpose yards in 3 years at Cal. That is not being talked about enough.
If he's healthy.
Deion Burks, former Purdue player, right? Just disaster.
He was spread seed all over the country.
Deion Burks was the Blazer that we thought he was going to be. Now he's a year later. Everybody's hopefully healthy and stays healthy for Oklahoma. Isaiah Satania from Arkansas is a great get. Great get. had problems with his hands for a number of years at Arkansas, figured that out last year, resolved some of his catch issues. He's can absolutely burn. He can play special teams too. We'll see if he does for them. I mean, our Mason Thomas comes back for more havoc on defense, a dozen sacks and TFLs. Too deep in the defensive line are all run stoppers. They're thick. This is supposed to be the number one unit in defensive line and linebackers, despite losing Danny Stutzman. Like, it doesn't matter if you go and read Athlon or Phil Steele. Like, this is supposed to be the number one defensive line and linebacker unit in the SEC. That, and with Venables calling it, and this is the only thing that he's focused on. I mean, just have somebody else go up to the podium and talk after the game. Just let
Venables. Are healthy. He's going to be very, very elite.
Look, I'm telling you right now, the schedule is tough. I mean, I think this is the 7th toughest schedule in the nation. Do you and I have the balls? I don't know if you're looking at the schedule. Do you and I have the balls to play Temple in week 3 in between Michigan and Auburn? By the way, who in the Sam Hill is in the market pumping Temple against UMass today? Who? Why is Temple 3.5? Who is pushing that? It's August 7th, people, you animals out there. I don't know if we have the balls to play Temple against OU. How the hell is OU?
I have the balls to play any team. You know that.
My trash segment.
Trashman outfit will be on.
Wait a minute. Who's the trash, though? Temple, UMass. Who have we determined our first trash game of the year?
No, we have time for that.
All right. Okay. So, listen, the schedule is really tough, right? South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. I expect them to be short favorites in SEC home games against Auburn, Ole Miss, who will be on back-to-back travel, Missouri, who I'm not really too high on, LSU in the last week of the season. Like, where is their head at? Is Venables playing for his job? I took over 6.5 as my first win total back in May. That juice is now up to -170. I make it 8.1. I think if they get to 9 wins, you can include Mateer and talk for the Heisman. If they get to 10 wins, he's winning it. But I make it 8.1. I love OU. Stuck. The defensive line and the linebackers, legit. Absolutely legit. And you're giving me Ginty level missed tackles forced. I love OU.
All right, let's move on to Missouri. Missouri coming off a pretty magical season where everything went their way. I mean, they went 6-1 in one possession games. They were +8 in turnovers. They finished 9-3 in the regular season. They easily could have been 6-6. Brady Cook had some magical late game heroics. He's gone. New quarterback, is it Bo Perbula or is it Horn? I'm hearing it's like 60%.
I heard it was Bo.
No? 60% chance it's Bo, but it might be. There's a chance it's Horn. So quarterback competition there. They bring in Hardy, who I love, good zone scheme runner from ULM. After they lost both their backs, they lose all their receivers. They're relying on some depth guys, and then Coleman from Miss State. Like, I have some questions there. The offensive line, a lot of questions. They lose both their tackles to the NFL. That's not great. They bring in some transfers who I'm not really that high on. If you want to summarize what this team is, here's all you need to know. They are, and for what it's worth, Missouri, their win total under 7 -105 is out there. They're 8-1 to make the playoff. 80-1 you can find to win the conference. Returning production, they're 101st on offense, 10th on defense. That's all you need to know about this team this year. And that's another SEC team with quarterback uncertainty. The offense has a ton of question marks. The defense should be very good. They lost some key players. You know, I like Charleston and Walker and Williams. But their defensive line, they got some ex-Georgia guys who I think are going to be really good. They got a lot of talent in that front seven. They had a Trotter from West Virginia who I like. Get some guys back from injury. The secondary, the cornerback, like I want to see who gets that second position, but this defense is going to be good. The offense, maybe not so much. And the offensive line in particular, very worried about the tackles in particular. So I was all ready to sell this team after last year, and I just couldn't get there. My projections are at 6-9, so I can't go under 7. And here's why. Scheduling gods love Missouri.
Yes.
So here's who they start out with 6 home games. Central Arkansas, Kansas, ULL, South Carolina, we both don't like, UMass. And then, you want another gift? You get a bye before Bama at home. if you're 5-0. Not saying they're going to beat Bama, but that's the best possible place you could shove that in the schedule. Oh, good chance to start 5-0. We'll give you a bye.
Yeah.
The city's going to be on fire. You're 5-0 ranked, hosting Bama, coming off of a bye. And then, you have Miss State at home. Late in the year, you're at Oklahoma and at Arkansas. We just talked about it. Combustible teams. Both of them, or one of them, could just be done and quit. New coach. Who knows? Auburn, too, late in the year. Who knows where they are after that start? We just talked about it. Combustible. So their buys are well-timed. Their other buy comes before a home game against Texas A&M. Their SEC road games are Auburn, Vandy, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Pretty reasonable. So there's a chance this team starts 5-0, and they still got games against some combustible teams in Mississippi State and Vandy.
FYI, it is the easiest strength of schedule of every SEC team.
Yeah, I can't get there. Eli's doing a good job with them in the portal and with recruiting. But they're around 50th in returning production, which is right around what their strength of schedule is. I project 6-9. I thought it was going to be under all the way. It's nothing for me with Missouri. I think they probably finished 7-5.
I wanted under. And then Ahmad Hardy comes in from ULM, and I was like, shit.
After contact beast.
We were throwing ULM in the trash segment and betting on them like hard. I mean, Ahmad Hardy was, thank you, sir, for the money. 4.3 yards after first contact, over 1,000 yards rushed after first contact last year. I mean, that's insane for Missouri getting him. Bo Prabula, man, I've never been able to get that down, even at Penn State. Bo Prabula. He filled in nicely for Drew Aller against Wisconsin, a 5-1 TD to INT ratio. No turnover-worthy plays and 35 passing attempts last season for Penn State overall. But the question is Drink going to let him run over 200 design yards like he was used at Penn State? That's not really Drink's offense with his quarterbacks. So I think it's going to come down more to Bo throwing. We'll see if he wins the job. Middle of the offensive line has 2 NFL prospects. They can plow holes for inside zone for Ahmad Hardy. There's a lack of experience at blindside tackles, so we'll see how they do with pressure. The slot, Kevin Coleman coming in from Mississippi State, 2.3 yards per route run. There's some weapons here. I love Ahmad Hardy. Quarterback situation, I think, is still a little bit up. Now, defensive coordinator Corey Batoon returns one of the highest experience marks. There was issues with pass coverage outside the top 75 in coverage grading, defensive passing success rate outside the top 75. Jalen Catalon, who I think has somehow drank the fountain of youth of eligibility, is in his 900th year in college football. He's now the free safety coming in from Arkansas, Texas, UNLV. He'll provide a lot of experience. You know that Missouri is not losing to Arkansas. I love how the spread, I make it like Missouri -3 in Fayetteville. Like, they're never losing that game. As long as Drink is the head coach at Missouri, they're never losing to Arkansas. Okay. I think one year we had that battleground trophy or whatever the hell they're calling that stupid ass trophy. Like, we really care about the Civil War around here. But they're not losing that game. You say it's a coin flip. It's not a coin flip. So my numbers say 7.4. I can't get under 7.5, especially at the juice. I think, there's so many new pieces on offense. We don't know if the quarterback position is going to work out, but you have to, here's the problem with the schedule. You're going to be a zone read team with Ahmad Hardy. Who are the defenses that can stop that? OU, Bama, Texas A&M, Auburn. They're the ones with the defensive line and linebacker depth and talent to stop that. So I think 8 is about the best they could do at the ceiling. I still just can't play under 7.5 -140. It's just too juiced out for me. I would. Now here's the question for you. UMass is on a bye September 27th. We just pencil them into the trash with Missouri coming off South Carolina and wanting to get into a bye week. That is just, oh my God, UMass in a spot. Holy shit, Missouri won no part of that game.
They're going to show nothing.
They're going into a bye week after South Carolina. The UMass bye week spot against Missouri.
Especially if Missouri's 4-0, they beat South. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, we're circling it, highlighting, whatever you got to do, people.
We're assuming they're going to be we're down in South Carolina. They could lose. They could lose to Kansas, but I project right around 7, so I'm off. But yeah, that UMass screaming my name. All right, let's close things out with none other than Diego. And Vanderbilt, if you want to go over, you can go over 4.5 minus 188 if you want. So it's basically getting close to 5.5 when you account for juice. This is the number one most experienced team in the country. Top 3 in returning production. Pavi is back. The running back room, everyone's back.
Everybody's pissed Pavi is back.
Wide receiver, Cheryl, the number 1's back. They had this guy Richardson from Washburn, who I like. I think he's going to play in the slot. He's got some good speed. They had a couple New Mexico State guys. And Stowers, we saw how well that's going. He's going to get drafted. He's one of the best tight ends in college football. Their offensive line loses 4 starters. I'm here to tell you the offensive line got better. Look at who they lost. None of them were that good. I don't know why Florida State went after the Hanson. They had 7 transfers, 4 power 4 starters. I think they got better. I think they're going to be able to move like Mitchell inside, and I think their offensive line is better than last year. Defensively, I like their run D. I like the guys they brought back up front. Their linebackers, I really like Cohen. The questions for me are in the secondary. What's happening with Height? I don't know. Is he playing wide receiver or corner? I don't know.
Right.
But he's probably their best corner, but they maybe could use him at wide receiver. I don't know if he's going to do both, how often it's going to be. But their cornerbacks and safety, they're a big question for me. I love Fontenette. Is he going to play nickel again, or is he going to go play safety? I don't know, because they lost Wright and Taylor. They got to replace them. The secondary, the pass D could be really bad. That is a big concern of mine. Their special teams should be good again. They got to replace a couple pieces. That's important for their style. They need the special teams to be good. This is a team that wants to grind you down. You know that Alabama has this game circled? I was watching this. They upset the other night. It was an electric game. It was so fun to watch when I just had Vandy plus 21.5. You know that Bama has had that game circled and is going to come out with their hair on fire at home. It'll be Vandy's like 6 or 7 straight game to start the year. But I refuse to lay a huge number against Vandy. I just won't fade Vandy as a big favorite.
The old army. They're going to old army you.
Yeah. So, my numbers say over. I project them like 5-9. Now, the schedule's tough. Their SEC road games are Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Alabama. Probably not getting one of them. They're also at Vatech. Vatech's also out for revenge. There's a lot of people. Look, I might not bet this. Diego to go to a bowl, I probably will throw a little on it. But no one's going to be surprised by Vandy this year.
No.
And there's some tape on what they want to do. And there are a lot of teams that want blood from last year.
Yeah.
Vatech is one. Alabama is another.
There's another one. You haven't mentioned it yet.
Who?
There was a public statement issued by Sark about Diego's.
Oh, yeah. Remember the end of that game?
Yeah.
Yep. That's another.
I think Diego's going to get hung out to dry by the Texas defense.
My biggest concern, why I can Pavia stay healthy all year. It's a major concern. They need him to run. Last year we saw he got beat up and he wasn't healthy. That's a major concern. But I like their weapons. I think they upgraded the offensive line. The secondary is my biggest concern. It's going to be a fun team to bet. I'm probably going to bet them a bunch as a big underdog. So get ready to do that again. It's going to be fun. And I'll probably fade them. Let's see. I'll probably fade them against Georgia State again when they're a big favorite. Or maybe Utah State. So there's 3 easy wins on the schedule. Utah State, Georgia, Charleston Southern. Although with the way Vandy plays, nothing's really easy. This is a team that beat Alabama last year and lost to Georgia State.
Yeah.
But the rest of the schedule is very difficult. So they got to get Utah State, Georgia State, Charleston Southern. How do they get to 6? Well, if they're probably going to pull an upset, but they might lose a game. But
Auburn.
Yeah, they have Auburn late in the year, Kentucky late in the year. They could be dead, both those teams. Missouri at home, we're pretty low, and I think they can win that game. So there's 6 wins here, but there's 6 winnable home games. Then you also have LSU at home, and you're off of a bye there in a decent spot. So
Missouri's on back-to-back travel when they come.
Yeah, so there's some good spots, and they'll probably pull an upset. Oh, yeah, Auburn. They always beat Auburn. So
yeah,
I say they get to a bowl, and we need Diego.
Well, if Diego starts sniffing a bowl, he's gonna lay everything out on the table.
They'll win at Tennessee to get to a bowl if they need to. But so I lean over, probably throw a little bit on it. Not sure if it's a full bet or not. Pavia's health and the secondary are my biggest concerns. Anything you want to add on Vandy?
I'm directly on 5, so the juice on the 5.5 on the under is exactly where I would put it. I would say that the Trent Hudson piece may be the biggest addition a lot of people aren't paying attention to, because he had 2.3 yards per route run and 57 targets from Diego at New Mexico State in 2023. And then Trent Hudson went the route of Mississippi State. Now he's back with his quarterback. 67 targets to tight end Eli Stowers. I mean, the offense is going to be able to do some things.
They're not going to surprise anyone this year. That's concerned me.
Yeah. The defense did finish 54th in havoc. They're pretty average in stopping the run on the defensive line. When do the books catch up to Diego? 19-8-1 against the spread over the past 2 seasons. Now he has Tim Beck, his old New Mexico State offensive coordinator from 2022 and 2023, calling the plays. Jerry Kill is a consultant, so everything that you know on tape there that's in Hugh Freeze's nightmares is going to be on film and out there this year. There are 3 no-doubt victories on this schedule: Charleston Southern, Georgia State, and Utah State. The other games that they need to get over 5.5, I don't know, Vatech, underdogs against Mizzou, Kentucky, the Auburn game. Can we just go ahead and count that as a win? I make it 5. It says that you should go under, but 19-8-1 for Diego Pavia against the spread the last 2 years. You just can't bet against this guy until the books catch up.
Don't go under. It'll be fun to bet. I'll be backing them as a big dog, I'm sure, and fading them as a big favorite. They are the SEC Service Academy. All right, let's quickly sum it up. Favorite, what you like. I'll go first. I think a Lagway Heisman shot, now that that price has gone back up a bit due to the injury concern, I think it's worth some couch change. I'm going to be investing in some LSU and Texas A&M long shots. Not like win national title, but get to the SEC, win the SEC, get to the college football playoff. Make sure you pay attention to the award-winning Action app. As far as win totals,
we got a common one, a big one.
Yeah, hold on one sec. I got to get this read in real quick. Oh, speaking of the Action app, as a reminder, if you want to see every college football pick tracked from me, Colin, and Duck this season, you need the Action Network app. We've got some huge improvements and updates coming in the weeks ahead, which we're very excited to discuss in the coming weeks. But to get the most out of the app, you'll need to be an Action Pro subscriber. With Action Pro, you get real-time pick alerts from our entire Action Network team of experts, plus Action Pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. BBOC listeners can save $20 off the annual price of Action Pro. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and use code BBOC20. That's actionnetwork.com/pro and use code BBOC20 for $20 off the annual price of Action Pro. All right, win totals. I show a little bit of value in Florida. Too many injury concerns not going there. Show a little bit of value in Vandy. Probably play it small, but concerned about the secondary. I want to see how that comes together, see what happens with height. And then the Pavia injury concerns definitely a worry, and the fact they're not going to sneak up anybody. My two favorite win totals are 2 unders. It's South Carolina and Tennessee.
Yeah. 100% with you on South Carolina. That's going to go into the app. As a matter of fact, you and I both putting it in. It's we're going to get some juice moving. But definitely, I take it down to 6.1. So I don't care if you get an alternate 7. Actually, I might go look for an alternate 7. I'll let everybody else have the 7.5 of the juice. I'm going to go look for an alternate 7.
There's a under 7 plus 125 at Circa.
I'm going to I will call our mutual friend that we have dinner with and have him. Won't give away how we get the runners moving. So game of the year, LSU against Ole Miss. LSU is going to be coming off Sela, Southeast Louisiana. Ole Miss is going to be in a dogfight against Tulane the week before. I love Nuss against the Ole Miss secondary. I'm going to take LSU as a pick. That number should be a field goal, in my opinion, at the minimum. From a game of the year perspective, that's what I like. Week 1, I'm taking Auburn on the money line against Baylor. It's already taken money in the market. Same concept like I just said. Jackson Arnold with those wide receivers, with what they got through the portal, going up against that Baylor secondary that I think is going to have problems on day 1. Again, I want Auburn on the pick'em. After that, I think Texas is making the SEC championship game. Look at this schedule. Convince me that they're having 2 losses on that schedule in the SEC play. I don't see it.
And you have Alabama winning it all.
And then the big one, Alabama's winning the national title. Kane Womack, what he did with that defense in year one, very, very impressive. There's barely room to improve, and I think they will. You get past that, Ryan Grubb rejoining DeBoer. Sheridan gets to focus on the quarterback position. I get it. I get the questions with Ty Simpson. I get the questions with Austin Mack. But you have one guy that's been at Alabama forever, and you have one guy that knows the system. That will hold over until the 5-star Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields type recruited blue chip Keelan Russell's ready to go. I think
Alabama after they lose.
That is the ace in the and I agree with Stuck. After you want to wait till they lose and get a better number? Fine.
It was the Florida State week 1 and Tommy Gunn. All right, we've been going for 6 hours today. We have the Big 12 and ACC coming. We'll be recording later this weekend, so they'll be out a couple days after you listen to this. So that'll do it for us. Thanks to Colin for joining me. Thanks to our producer. It's been a long day, but it's a labor of love, and it's all made possible because of you guys. Appreciate all of you listening. Appreciate all of you tuning in. Cannot wait to sweat games and talk ball and betting with you all season long, and hope to see some of you in Chicago on the 23rd. Make sure you check out the rest of the episodes if you haven't seen them already. We got almost every conference out now except for the Big 12 and ACC, which will be coming out shortly. Week 0, we'll have our preview, and we will have a recap episode where Colin and I will go through every conference, give our favorite bets based on what's still out there in the market. I know we always get requests for that, so we will have that as usual. Voicemails will be here before we know it. But thanks for tuning in again. We'll catch y'all later. Make sure you subscribe. You know the deal. Leave a 5-star review. Cheers.
Peace out.